Luna Stormborn's blood painted the packhouse floor in scarlet streaks as Alpha Cain Blackridge's boot connected with her ribs for the third time. The crack echoed through the stone hallway like a gunshot, and Luna's wolf whimpered deep inside her consciousness, too weak, too broken to surface and defend them. "Worthless, Omega," Cain snarled, his eyes flashing that dangerous gold that marked the presence of his wolf. His lips curled back, revealing teeth that were just a bit too sharp, too predatory. "You actually thought you could embarrass me in front of the council?" Luna tried to curl into herself, to protect her vital organs, but her body wouldn't obey. Every nerve ending screamed. Her vision blurred at the edges, darkness creeping in like a familiar friend she'd learned to know too well over the past 3 years. "Cain, maybe that's enough." Riker's voice came from somewhere above her, hesitant, uncertain. "Enough?" Cain whirled on his beta, and Luna heard Riker take an involuntary step back. The Alpha's rage was palpable, filling the corridor with the acrid scent of dominance and fury. "She stood before the Territorial Council and accused me of abusing pack members. Me, an Alpha with a bloodline that goes back 12 generations. And you think a few broken bones is enough?" Through her fading consciousness, Luna tasted copper. Blood filled her mouth. She'd bitten through her tongue when his first kick had landed. The metallic taste mixed with the bitter flavor of regret, of wondering why she'd ever thought speaking up would change anything. "She's just an Omega," Steele added, the Gamma's voice cold and dismissive. Luna couldn't see him, but she knew he was there, watching with those dead gray eyes that had never held a shred of compassion. "No one believes in Omega over an Alpha." The council laughed her out of the room. Cain crouched down, his hand fisting in Luna's dark hair, yanking her head back so she had no choice but to meet his eyes. His face was a mask of controlled fury, the kind that was somehow worse than explosive rage because it meant he was thinking, calculating, planning. "You humiliated me," he said softly, his breath hot against her battered face. "You made me look weak in front of Alphas from 5 territories. Do you know what happens to wolves who make their Alpha look weak, little Omega?" Luna wanted to spit in his face. Wanted to tell him that he didn't need her help looking weak, that any Alpha who beat defenseless pack members was already the weakest kind of wolf. But her jaw wouldn't work properly. Something was broken there too. "They disappear." Cain answered his own question, his smile widening. "And no one asks questions. Especially not about Omegas." He released her hair and her head cracked against the stone floor. Stars exploded across her vision. "Riker, Steele, get her out of my sight. Take her to the border. The Forbidden Zone." Luna's wolf stirred weakly at those words. No, not there. The Forbidden Zone was the stretch of territory between pack lands, neutral ground that belonged to no one and everyone. More importantly, it was where the rogues hunted. Wolves without pack bonds, without the civilization and rules that kept shifters from becoming monsters. "Alpha, if we leave her there," Riker started, "then the problem solves itself." Cain stood, brushing invisible dirt from his designer jeans. "It's late. No one saw us bring her here. No one will see you take her out. By morning, when someone notices the Omega is missing, well," he shrugged. "Omegas run away all the time. Can't handle pack life. Tragic, really. And if someone asks about the blood," Steele gestured to the crimson trail Luna's broken body had left across the floor. "Then we had a rogue breach. I defended the pack. There was a struggle." Cain's voice was bored now, as if they were discussing something as mundane as the weather. "Clean it up after you dispose of her. Every drop. Dispose of her. Like she was garbage. Like she was nothing. Maybe she was nothing." The thought drifted through Luna's dimming consciousness like a ghost. 3 years ago, she'd been someone. The daughter of Alphas, a wolf destined for greatness. Then the rogues had come, slaughtering her parents, destroying her pack, and breaking something fundamental inside her wolf. When a wolf experiences extreme trauma, sometimes their rank collapses. It's rare, but it happens. One day you're an Alpha's daughter with power singing through your veins, and the next you're an Omega, the lowest rank in the hierarchy. Powerless, weak, worthless. Cain's pack had taken her in. She'd been grateful at first, even as an Omega, grateful for shelter, for a place to belong, for the pack bonds that kept a wolf's sanity intact. She hadn't realized she was trading one nightmare for another. Rough hands grabbed her arms. Luna's scream was silent. She had no air left in her damaged lungs to make sound. They dragged her through the pack house, and she caught glimpses of pack members peeking out from doorways before quickly shutting their doors. They knew. Everyone always knew. But no one helped an Omega. The night air hit her like a slap when they emerged from the pack house. October in the Montana wilderness was unforgiving, temperatures already dropping below freezing at night. Luna was wearing jeans and a thin tank top. Nothing else. They hadn't even let her grab a jacket before the meeting with Kane. Meeting. What a pretty word for an execution. Riker and Steele threw her into the back of Kane's truck, a massive black Ford that the Alpha loved more than most of his pack members. Luna's body hit the truck bed with a thud that sent fresh agony cascading through her nervous system. She tried to curl into a ball, to conserve what little heat her body still produced, but her left arm wouldn't respond. Broken, probably, or dislocated. The truck roared to life. They drove in silence, and through the rear window, Luna could see Riker's face in the passenger seat. He looked uncomfortable. Not guilty. Not remorseful. Just uncomfortable, like this was an unpleasant chore he wished someone else had been assigned. Steele drove, his expression blank as always. Luna had often wondered if the Gamma felt anything at all, or if his wolf had died inside him years ago, leaving just a shell that walked and talked and followed orders. 20 minutes. That's how long it took to reach the border. Luna knew because she counted each second, using the numbers to focus past the pain, past the fear, past the knowledge of what was coming. The truck stopped. Car doors opened and slammed. Then the tailgate dropped, and Riker was pulling her out, his grip careful to avoid causing more damage than necessary. Small mercy. "I'm sorry," he whispered as he laid her on the frozen ground. "I'm sorry, but I have a mate, pups. If I defy Kane, just go." Luna managed to rasp out. Her voice was barely recognizable, thick with blood and broken things. "Just go." Riker flinched like she'd struck him. Steele walked over, looked down at her with those dead eyes, and shook his head. "Should have kept your mouth shut, Omega. This is the world we live in. Knowing your place keeps you alive." "Does it?" Luna met his gaze. "Or does it just make you dead?" Inside, for a moment, just a flicker, something moved behind Steele's gray eyes. Then it was gone, and he was turning away, climbing back into the truck. The engine started. Headlights swept across Luna's broken body one last time, and then the truck was pulling away, taillights disappearing into the darkness like dying embers. Silence fell over the forest. Luna lay on the frozen ground at the edge of the forbidden zone and tried to remember why she'd thought speaking up would matter. Why she'd believed that truth would somehow overcome power. Why she'd been naive enough to think that being right would protect her. Her wolf stirred weakly in her mind. "Mate," she whispered. "Mate is close. Can feel him." Luna's broken laugh came out as a wet cough. Blood spattered the frost-covered leaves beneath her cheek. Yes, she'd felt him too. For months now, ever since Kane's pack had traveled through this territory, she'd sensed her fated mate nearby. The pull of the bond was unmistakable, that electric awareness that told a wolf their destined one was close. But he'd never revealed himself, never claimed her, never even made his presence known. What kind of mate watches his destined one suffer and does nothing? Maybe he doesn't want a broken Omega, Luna thought bitterly. Maybe the moon goddess made a mistake. Her body temperature was already dropping. She could feel it, the insidious cold seeping into her bones, into her blood, into the very core of her being. Hypothermia would claim her in a few hours, or blood loss, or shock, so many ways to die. Luna's eyes drifted closed. She thought about her parents' strong, noble wolves who'd died protecting their pack. She'd been ashamed of becoming an Omega, of falling so far from the legacy they'd left her. Maybe death was easier than living with that shame. "Mate," her wolf insisted weakly. "He's here. Watching." Let him watch, Luna thought. Let him watch her die and live with that guilt. Maybe it would hurt him. Maybe. A branch snapped in the darkness. Luna's eyes flew open. Her wolf, despite being battered and broken, suddenly surged with desperate alertness. Another branch, then another. The sounds of movement, through the underbrush, multiple somethings moving with purpose. From the tree line, eyes began to open in the darkness. Not human eyes. Wolf eyes, glowing with supernatural luminescence. 1 pair, 5 pairs, 10, 20, 50 pairs of eyes. All locked on Luna's broken body, and every single one of them glowed with the same color, the deep amber gold that marked alpha blood. Luna's heart, already failing, hammered against her shattered ribs. Rogues. She was surrounded by rogues, and the largest pair of eyes, the ones that held ancient power and deadly focus, were moving closer. Cain Blackridge had thrown her to the wolves, but he didn't know these particular wolves had been waiting for exactly this moment. Luna survived Cain, but will she survive what comes next? Please like this video if you're rooting for her, and comment your city so we know where the pack is watching from. Next chapter changes everything. Chapter 2. The Forbidden Zone. Luna's breath came in short, painful gasps as 50 pairs of glowing eyes surrounded her in the darkness. Her wolf should have been panicking, flooding her system with adrenaline, preparing to fight or flee. Instead, there was only a strange, resigned calm. Can't fight, can't run, this is how it ends. The wolves emerged from the tree line one by one, their massive forms materializing from shadow into terrible reality. These weren't normal wolves, not even normal shifters. Each one was enormous, easily twice the size of any pack wolf Luna had ever seen. Their fur rippled with power, their movements precise and coordinated. Rogues weren't supposed to move like this. Rogues were supposed to be fractured, chaotic, driven by base instincts without the civilizing structure of pack bonds. But these wolves moved like a military unit, like soldiers who'd trained together for years. The largest wolf stepped forward, and Luna's damaged heart stuttered in her chest. He was midnight black with silver threading through his coat like veins of moonlight. His eyes burned amber gold, ancient and intelligent, and fixed on her with an intensity that made her wolf whimper not in fear, but in recognition. Alpha, her wolf breathed. Alpha King. Alpha King. The title whispered through Luna's fading consciousness like a prayer and a curse. There were alphas who led packs, and then there were Alpha King's wolves so dominant, so powerful, that other alphas submitted to them. They were rare, appearing maybe once in a generation, and they ruled not through pack bonds, but through sheer force of will and supernatural strength. This wolf was an Alpha King, and he was staring at Luna like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. The black wolf moved closer, his steps careful, measured. 3 feet away. 2 feet. Close enough that Luna could feel the heat radiating from his massive body, see the silver scars that crisscrossed his muzzle, evidence of battles fought and survived. He lowered his huge head toward her face, and Luna closed her eyes, waiting for the killing blow. Instead, she felt warmth. A wet nose pressed gently against her cheek, then her forehead, then the curve of her neck. The wolf was scenting her. His breath was hot against her frozen skin, and when he exhaled, the sound was almost like a whine. Luna's eyes opened in confusion. The black wolf's face was inches from hers, and in those burning amber eyes, she saw something that made no sense. Anguish, rage, possession, and underneath it all recognition. Mate, her wolf said with absolute certainty. Our mate. No. That couldn't be right. Luna had felt the pull of the mate bond for months, yes, but she'd assumed her mate was weak, powerless, unable to claim her. This wolf radiated enough power to make Alpha Cain look like a pup playing at dominance. If this was her mate, why hadn't he claimed her? Why had he let her suffer? The black wolf pulled back slightly, and then his bones began to crack. Luna watched, transfixed despite her pain, as the massive wolf shifted. Fur receded into bronze skin. Paws reformed into hands. The muzzle shortened into a face that looked like it had been carved from stone by a particularly aggressive sculptor. The man who stood before her was easily 6.5 feet of pure muscle. Naked shifters always were after transformation, and completely unbothered by the freezing temperature. His hair was black as his wolf, long enough to brush his shoulders, with those same silver streaks running through it. His face was all hard angles and sharp edges, a scar running from his left eyebrow to his cheekbone. But it was his eyes that trapped Luna. Human now, but still burning with that same amber gold intensity. "Mine," he growled, and the word echoed with supernatural command that made every wolf present drop their heads in submission. Even unconscious and broken, Luna's wolf bowed to the authority in that single word. The man dropped to his knees beside her, his large hands hovering over her body as if afraid to touch her, afraid he might break her further. "Luna," he said, and hearing her name in his voice sent electricity down her spine. "Luna Stormborn, daughter of Alpha's Nathaniel and Sarah Stormborn of the Silver Moon Pack. Born under the Harvest Moon 22 years ago. Orphaned 3 years ago when rogues attacked. Rank collapsed from Alpha heir to Omega due to extreme trauma. He knew everything about her. Everything." "Who?" Luna's voice was barely a whisper. "Who are you, Dominic Steelheart?" His jaw clenched. "Alpha King of the Wildborn. And your mate." The confirmation sent a jolt through Luna's system. Her mate. This devastatingly powerful male was her fated mate. "Why?" The question came out broken, ragged. "Why didn't you?" "Months. I felt you. Why didn't you claim me?" Pain flashed across Dominic's face, genuine, raw pain that looked wrong on such a powerful male. "You bore another pack's mark. Cain Blackridge's pack bond was on you. Ancient law forbids an alpha from claiming a mated or bonded wolf without permission of her current alpha. So you just watched?" Luna's anger gave her strength she shouldn't have. "Watched them beat me? Starve me? Call me worthless?" "I was gathering allies." Dominic's hands curled into fists against his thighs. "Building a coalition to challenge Cain legally, to force him to release you. The council meeting yesterday, I arranged that. I made sure Blackridge Pack's abuses would be exposed, that you'd have protection to speak." Luna's broken laugh turned into a cough that brought up blood. "Worked out, brilliantly. He wasn't supposed to hurt you." Dominic's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "The council was supposed to investigate. Protected witnesses can't be harmed." "But Cain," his eyes flashed wolf gold. "Cain broke every law tonight. And the moment he dumped you at the border, you became unclaimed. Free territory. Lucky me," Luna whispered. "I've been tracking you since the moment Blackridge's truck left Packhouse grounds." Dominic finally touched her, his hand gently cupping her face. His palm was rough with calluses, impossibly warm against her frozen skin. 50 of my wolves have been stationed around his territory for 3 months, waiting. When I felt your pain through the mate bond, he closed his eyes. I have never moved so fast in my life. Luna wanted to believe him, wanted to fall into the comfort of having a mate who cared, who'd tried to save her the right way. But 3 years of abuse had taught her that wanting and having were very different things. "You're a wolf," Dominic said urgently. "Luna, I can feel her dying. The bond between wolf and human, it's breaking." He was right. Luna could feel it too, the connection to her wolf growing weaker with every passing second. When a shifter's wolf died, the human remained, but they were empty, hollow. Most didn't survive more than a few months before the grief killed them. "Let it break," Luna heard herself say. "She's been trying to die. For 3 years. Maybe it's time." "No." The word was absolute, commanding. "You don't get to give up. Not now. Not when I finally have you." "You don't have me." Luna met his eyes. "You have a broken Omega who's bleeding out in the dirt. That's not a mate. That's a burden." Dominic's hand moved from her face to her neck, his thumb brushing over her pulse point, the traditional place for a mating mark. "You were never an Omega. Trauma broke your connection to your true rank. But the power is still there, buried deep. I can feel it. Feels pretty dead to me. Then let me give you a reason to live." Dominic leaned closer, his face inches from hers. "Let me complete the mate bond. My power will flow into you. Pull your wolf back from the edge. Restore what was broken." Luna's heart rate spiked. "The mating bond? You want to mark me now? While I'm dying? Especially because you're dying." Dominic's voice was raw with desperation. "It's the only way to save your wolf." "But Luna..." He paused, You have to consent. Even now, even like this, I won't claim you without your permission. Such a gentleman, Luna said bitterly. Waited months while I suffered for your precious laws, but now you want to mark me in the dirt. Like you're mine and I'm yours and nothing else matters. Dominic interrupted. Yes, because you are dying, and I will not lose my mate when I just found her. Behind Dominic, the 50 wolves had formed a protective circle, all facing outward, guarding them. Luna could see more wolves arriving every minute, the wild-born pack assembling to protect their alpha king and his dying mate. If I say no? Luna asked. Then I'll take you to our healing center, and our pack healer will do everything she can to save your wolf through conventional means. Dominic's voice was steady despite the anguish in his eyes. But Luna, our healer is skilled, not miraculous. Your wolf is at maybe 15% connection. Without the mate bond to anchor her, she'll be gone within the hour. 15%. Luna could feel the truth of it, the way her wolf's presence was flickering like a candle in a hurricane, ready to blow out completely. And if I say yes, Luna whispered, if you mark me, complete the bond, what then? I'm bound to you forever? No choice, no escape? The mating bond can be rejected. Dominic's admission seemed to cost him. For the first full moon cycle after marking, either mate can sever it. It's agonizing and rare, but possible. After the full moon passes, the bond becomes permanent. So I'd have a month to decide if I want to be tied to the male who watched me break. Dominic flinched like she'd struck him. Yes. Luna's vision was darkening at the edges. Her heart rate was slowing. She could feel death approaching like an old friend, patient and inevitable. She thought about her parents, thought about the strong, proud alpha female her mother had been, thought about the fierce warrior her father had been. They wouldn't want her to give up, wouldn't want her to die because pride kept her from accepting help, but they also wouldn't want her to be claimed without real choice. If you mark me, Luna said slowly, and your power saves my wolf, I want your word, your alpha's oath, that you won't use the mate bond to control me, won't command me, won't trap me. You have it, Dominic said immediately. I swear on my alpha blood, on the moon goddess herself, I will never use our bond to control you. You will be my equal in all things. Equals, Luna repeated. An omega and an alpha king. That's not how pack hierarchy works. Then we'll change how it works. Dominic's hand remained gentle on her neck, his thumb still brushing her pulse point. Luna Stormborn, daughter of alphas, broken but not destroyed, will you accept my mark? Will you let me save you? Luna's wolf stirred weakly one last time. Mate, she whispered. Choose mate. Choose life. Luna closed her eyes, took a breath that felt like swallowing glass, and said the word that would change everything. Yes. Dominic's eyes flashed pure gold. His canines elongated, shifting partially without a full transformation. And then he was lowering his head to her neck, his mouth hovering over the junction where neck met shoulder, the sacred marking spot that every shifter knew. This will hurt, he warned. Everything hurts, Luna replied. Dominic's bite was swift, precise, and absolutely agonizing. His canines pierced her skin, sinking deep into the muscle beneath. Luna's back arched, a scream tearing from her damaged throat as power, raw, ancient, overwhelming power flooded through the bite wound and into her dying body. It felt like being struck by lightning, like drowning in fire, like every nerve ending was being ripped apart and rewoven with golden thread. Luna's wolf, flickering at 15%, suddenly blazed to life. The connection between human and wolf that had been fraying for 3 years reformed in an instant, stronger than it had ever been. Power sang through Luna's veins, not her power, but Dominic's, flowing through the mate bond like a river breaking through a dam. Her broken ribs shifted, began to knit together. The internal bleeding slowed, then stopped. The fracture in her skull sealed. Even the frostbite on her fingers and toes reversed, warmth spreading through her extremities. Dominic released the bite, licking the wound to seal it. When he pulled back, his eyes were pure wolf, no human left in that gaze, just pure alpha dominance and possessive satisfaction. Mine, he growled again. My mate. My female. Mine. Luna couldn't respond. The power coursing through her was too much, too overwhelming. Her body was healing at supernatural speed. Her wolf was practically singing with newfound strength, and underneath it all was the mate bond, a golden thread connecting her to Dominic Steelheart, pulsing with emotion and power and undeniable recognition. Her eyes rolled back, consciousness fled, and Luna fell into darkness with her mate's arms catching her before she could hit the ground. The last thing she heard was Dominic's voice, commanding and absolute. "Get the healer, now. And someone bring clothes when my mate wakes up. She's going to be furious enough without adding insult of nakedness to injury." Then there was nothing but the bond, golden and warm, wrapping around her like a blanket as her body rebuilt itself from the inside out. Chapter 3. The Alpha King's Territory. Luna woke to warmth. After 3 years of sleeping on thin mattresses in unheated servant quarters, after a night of freezing on frozen ground waiting to die, the sensation of genuine warmth was so foreign that for a moment she thought she was dreaming. Her eyes opened slowly. Above her was a ceiling made of dark wood beams, sturdy and well-crafted. Soft light filtered through windows she could see to her left, not the harsh fluorescent lighting of Kane's pack house, but natural sunlight streaming through what looked like genuine curtains. Luna turned her head carefully, testing for pain. Nothing. No stabbing agony in her ribs. No pounding headache from her skull fracture. No burning in her lungs from internal bleeding. She was healed? The memories crashed back. Kane's beating. The border. The wolves. Dominic Steelheart. The marking. Luna's hand flew to her neck, fingers finding the raised skin of 2 crescent-shaped scars on the junction of her neck and shoulder. The mating mark. It was real. She'd accepted an Alpha King's claim while bleeding out in the dirt. What have I done? The mate bond hummed in the back of her consciousness, a golden thread she could feel stretching from her chest toward. She turned her head right, following the sensation. Dominic Steelheart sat in a chair beside her bed. His eyes were closed, his head tilted back against the wall, dark hair falling across his scarred face. He was wearing jeans and a black thermal shirt now, his powerful frame somehow both relaxed and coiled with potential energy like a predator resting but ready to explode into violence at the first sign of threat. Even sleeping, he was devastating. Luna hated that she noticed. She sat up slowly, and the blankets fell away from her body. Someone had dressed her in soft flannel pajamas, dark green with little silver wolves printed on them. The absurdity of it almost made her laugh. Almost. The movement must have disturbed the bond because Dominic's eyes snapped open instantly. Those amber gold eyes found hers, and Luna felt the bond pulse with his immediate relief, his joy, his possessive satisfaction at seeing her awake. "You're awake." His voice was rough with sleep, deeper than she remembered. "How do you feel?" "Like I was beaten nearly to death and then claimed by a stranger," Luna said flatly. Dominic's jaw tightened. "Fair enough." Luna swung her legs over the side of the bed, testing her body's responses. Everything worked. No pain. No weakness. She felt better than she had in 3 years, no. Better than she'd felt since before her parents died. Where am I? My territory. Wildborn Packlands. This is the main house, my house. Dominic stood, and Luna was reminded of just how large he was. In the confines of the bedroom, his presence was overwhelming. "You're in the guest room. I had our healer, Sage, examine you while you were unconscious. She confirmed the mate bond successfully pulled your wolf back from the edge. Your rank." He paused. "Your rank has been restored." Luna's head snapped up. "What? You're not an Omega anymore." Dominic moved to the window, giving her space. Smart of him. The mate bond with an Alpha King. It reconnected you to your true power. Sage says your rank has stabilized at Alpha level. Possibly higher, but we won't know for certain until you shift. Alpha level. Luna's wolf stirred inside her consciousness, and for the first time in 3 years, she felt its actual power. Not the weak, submissive energy of an Omega, but something fierce and strong and wild. "I don't understand," Luna whispered. "Rank collapse is permanent. Everyone knows that." "Everyone's wrong." Dominic turned back to face her. Rank collapse happens when a wolf experiences trauma so severe that their connection to their power breaks. But the power itself doesn't disappear, it's just buried. Inaccessible. The right catalyst can restore it. And you're the catalyst. The mate bond is. Dominic's expression was carefully neutral. My alpha power flowing through the bond gave your wolf the strength to reconnect with your buried power. It would have worked with any strong alpha mate. I just happened to be particularly powerful. Particularly powerful. That was like calling the ocean particularly wet. Luna stood, testing her legs. Solid. Strong. She walked to the mirror hanging on the opposite wall and stared at her reflection. Same dark hair, same gray eyes, same face. But there was something different now, a light in her eyes that hadn't been there before. A strength in her posture. And on her neck, 2 perfect crescent scars that marked her as claimed. How long was I unconscious? 14 hours. It's almost noon. Dominic remained by the window, maintaining his distance. Your body needed time to process the healing, the rank restoration, and the bond formation all at once. Sage said you'd sleep as long as you needed. 14 hours. Luna turned to face him. And you sat there the entire time? Yes. Why? Dominic's eyes flashed gold. Because you're my mate. And you nearly died. Because I've waited months to have you here. Safe. And I wasn't about to let you out of my sight. I'm not going anywhere, Luna said. Where would I go? Back to Cain? To a pack that dumped me in the forest to die? She laughed bitterly. No. I'm trapped here. With you. Bound by a mark I accepted because the alternative was death. You have a choice. Dominic's voice was tight with control. I told you the bond can be rejected within the first full moon cycle. That gives you 28 days to decide if you want to keep me as your mate. And if I reject you? Then the bond severs. It will be agonizing for both of us, like ripping out a piece of your soul. But it's survivable. Dominic's hands curled into fists at his sides. And you'll be free. I'll grant you sanctuary in my territory as long as you want it, with no expectations, no obligations. Luna studied him. The tension in his shoulders, the careful way he was breathing, the distance he maintained between them. He was giving her space, giving her control, but she could feel through the bond how much it cost him. His wolf was screaming to get closer to her, to touch her, to confirm she was real and alive, and his. You really would let me go, Luna said slowly. Even though it would destroy you. Yes. Why? Because you deserve a choice. Dominic finally moved, but only to lean against the window frame, putting even more distance between them. You've been controlled and abused for 3 years. The last thing you need is another male trying to own you. So yes, Luna Stormborn, I will give you 28 days to decide if you want me, and if you choose to reject me, I will respect that choice even as it kills me. The sincerity in his voice made something crack in Luna's chest. She wanted to hate him, wanted to rage at him for not saving her sooner, for following his precious laws while she suffered. But looking at him now, at the pain carved into his handsome face, at the way he was literally holding himself back from approaching her, she couldn't quite manage it. I don't know you, Luna said finally. I'm bound to a stranger. That's not how mates are supposed to work. No, Dominic agreed. Usually mates have time to court, to learn each other, to choose freely. We didn't get that luxury, but we have 28 days to figure out if we can make this work. A knock on the door interrupted them. Dominic straightened. Come in. A woman entered, early 30s, with auburn hair pulled back in a practical braid and sharp green eyes that immediately assessed Luna with professional efficiency. She carried a medical bag and had an air of competence that reminded Luna painfully of her mother. So the miracle mate wakes. The woman's voice was warm despite her clinical gaze. I'm Sage Winters, pack healer. How are you feeling? Fine, Luna said automatically, then paused. Actually, really fine. Better than I've felt in years. That would be the Alpha King's blood magic working through your system. Sage set her bag on the bed and pulled out a stethoscope. May I examine you, just to confirm everything healed properly? Luna nodded, and Sage went through a quick but thorough examination, checking her heartbeat, her breathing, her reflexes. She pressed carefully along Luna's ribs, where the breaks had been. Remarkable, Sage murmured. Complete healing. No scar tissue, no residual damage. The mate bond did its job. She stepped back. You're healthy, probably the healthiest you've been in 3 years. My wolf, Luna said hesitantly. It feels different, stronger, because you're not an Omega anymore. Sage smiled. Your true rank has reasserted itself. I'd estimate your Alpha class now. Possibly Beta class at minimum. You won't know for certain until you shift and test your abilities. Alpha class. The words still didn't feel real. There's something else, Sage continued, glancing at Dominic. The mate bond is unusually strong. Stronger than I've seen in my 20 years as a healer. That's because of Dominic's bloodline. Alpha Kings form more intense bonds than regular alphas. You'll be able to sense his emotions, his location, his physical state, and he'll sense yours. Luna's stomach dropped. He can feel what I'm feeling? Right now? Right. The emotional connection strengthens over time, Dominic said quickly. Right now I can only sense your general state: fear, anger, pain. I can't read your thoughts or your specific feelings. That's invasive enough. Luna wrapped her arms around herself. It works both ways, Sage pointed out. You can sense him too. The bond doesn't favor one mate over the other, it's equal. Equal. Dominic had used that word last night too. Luna tested it, focusing on the golden thread connecting her to Dominic. She could feel guilt. Deep, churning guilt, and underneath it, a fierce protective instinct and something that felt like hope wrapped in desperation. He really did feel guilty. Really was trying to give her control. I'll leave you two alone, Sage said, picking up her bag. Luna, when you're ready, there are clothes in the closet. Dominic had pack members bring options in your size. She headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Luna? Welcome to Wildborn Pack. We're glad you survived. The door closed behind her, leaving Luna alone with Dominic again. Clothes in my size, Luna said. You knew my size? I've been watching over you for months, Dominic admitted. I know your size, your favorite foods, the way you take your coffee. I know you volunteer at the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center every Tuesday. I know you read fantasy novels and fall asleep with the light on. I know. He stopped himself. I know it sounds like stalking, but I was trying to learn everything about my mate while I waited for a legal way to claim you. It should have been creepy. Should have felt like a violation. But somehow, knowing that he'd cared enough to learn those details, to watch over her even when he couldn't act. That's still creepy, Luna said, but there was less heat in her voice. I know. Dominic pushed off from the window. I'm going to give you space. Get dressed, explore the house if you want. There are pack members around who can answer questions. He hesitated. I need to deal with Kane Blackridge. Luna's blood went cold. What do you mean? Deal with him. He broke pack law. He beat you, attempted to kill you, and dumped you on neutral territory. Dominic's voice dropped to something dangerous. That requires a formal response. I'm calling a council of alphas. No. Luna's wolf surged forward, lending strength to her voice. You're not starting a war because of me. This isn't a war. It's justice. Dominic's eyes flashed gold. Kane can't be allowed to. I don't want more violence. Luna's shout surprised them both. I don't want you fighting my battles. I don't want to be the reason wolves die. Dominic stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. Okay. No council. Not yet. But Luna Kane can't go unpunished. Then I'll be the one to punish him. Luna heard herself say, when I'm ready. When I'm strong enough. But not like this. Not with you charging in like I'm some helpless Omega who needs rescuing. Something that might have been pride flickered across Dominic's face. You're not helpless. You never were. No. Luna agreed. I wasn't. I was just surviving. But I'm done surviving. I want to start living. Then live. Dominic moved toward the door. This is your home now, for as long as you want it. No cages. No commands. Just live. He left, closing the door softly behind him. Luna stood alone in the beautiful bedroom, wearing pajamas printed with wolves, marked by an Alpha King, and restored to the power she'd thought lost forever. For the first time in 3 years, she felt the stirring of something that might have been hope. Her wolf purred in agreement. Mate is good. Mate kept us alive, maybe. Maybe we give him a chance. Maybe, Luna thought. But she'd spent 3 years learning that hope was dangerous, that trust was earned, and that power could be just another word for control. She had 28 days to figure out which kind of male Dominic Steelheart really was. And she intended to use every single one of them. Chapter 4. The Wild Born. Luna waited until she could no longer hear Dominic's footsteps before moving to the closet. She needed to see what he considered options in her size. The closet was a walk-in, larger than her entire servants' quarters at Kane's pack house had been. And it was full. Not just a few emergency outfits, but an entire wardrobe. Jeans in multiple washes and styles. Soft sweaters in jewel tones. Practical hiking boots and comfortable sneakers. Even Luna felt her cheeks heat underwear and bras. All still in their packaging, all the correct size. He really had been paying attention. Luna selected dark jeans, a forest green sweater, and sturdy boots. The clothes fit perfectly, and the fabric was high quality, nothing like the threadbare hand-me-downs she'd worn for the past 3 years. She caught sight of herself in the full-length mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked healthy, strong. Her skin had color again, her eyes were bright, and the way she held herself was different. Not the hunched, defensive posture of someone expecting a blow at any moment, but something straighter, prouder. This is who I was supposed to be, Luna thought. Before Kane, before the rogues, before everything broke, her wolf stirred with satisfaction. This is who we are. Alpha blood, strong blood. Never forget. Luna touched the mating mark on her neck one more time, then pulled her hair forward to cover it. She wasn't ready for everyone to see that yet. Wasn't ready for the questions or the implications. She left the bedroom and found herself in a hallway lined with more dark wood and soft lighting. The house smelled like pine and wood smoke and something else pack. Multiple wolves living together. Their scents layered and intermingled. But unlike Kane's pack house, where the scent had been aggressive and territorial, this smelled like family. Luna followed the hallway to a large staircase that led down to what appeared to be a great room. Massive windows looked out onto dense forest. A stone fireplace dominated one wall, and comfortable furniture was arranged in a way that invited gathering and conversation. 3 wolves looked up as Luna descended the stairs. The first was a woman in her 50s with silver-streaked blonde hair and laugh lines around her blue eyes. She wore an apron and had flour on her hands, suggesting she'd been baking. The second was a young man, maybe 25, with red hair and freckles that made him look younger. He was sprawled across a couch with a tablet in his hands. The third was an older man, probably 60, with a gray beard and the kind of solid, weathered look that spoke of decades spent outdoors. All 3 stopped what they were doing and stared at Luna with varying expressions of curiosity and something that looked like awe. "Well," the older woman said, wiping her hands on her apron and smiling warmly. "You must be Luna. I'm Meredith Steelheart, Dominic's mother." Luna's feet froze on the bottom step. His mother? Guilty as charged. Meredith's smile widened. "Don't look so terrified, dear. I don't bite. Much." She gestured to the others. "This is Finn." The red-haired young man raised a hand in greeting, and that grumpy-looking fellow is Thomas, our head tracker. "Not grumpy," Thomas rumbled. "Realistic. There's a difference." "Nice to meet you," Luna said, her voice coming out steadier than she felt. "I'm Luna Stormborn, formerly of Silver Moon Pack, currently marked by our Alpha King and causing quite the stir." Finn grinned. "We know. The whole pack knows. It's all anyone's been talking about since Dominic came back carrying you like some kind of romance novel hero." "Finn," Meredith said warningly. "What?" "It's true." Finn sat up. 50 warriors stationed around Blackridge territory for months, all waiting for Dominic's mate to become available. Then boom, dramatic rescue, mate marking in the field, restoration of her true rank. It's epic. Luna felt her face heating. Epic isn't the word I'd use. What word would you use? Finn asked with genuine curiosity. Overwhelming, confusing, terrifying. Luna moved into the room properly. I went from dying to mated to an alpha king in about 12 hours. I'm still processing. Meredith's expression softened with sympathy. Of course you are, dear. Would you like some tea? Or coffee? I was just making breakfast. Well, lunch now, I suppose. You must be starving. Luna's stomach chose that moment to growl loudly. She couldn't remember the last time she'd eaten. Food would be good. Thank you. Come to the kitchen. Meredith headed toward a doorway. The rest of you, give the girl some breathing room. She doesn't need an audience. But Finn and Thomas followed anyway, and Luna found herself in a huge kitchen that smelled like fresh bread and cinnamon. Meredith moved with practiced efficiency, setting out plates and pulling containers from the refrigerator. Sit, she commanded, pointing to a stool at the kitchen island. Luna sat. Meredith placed a plate in front of her loaded with scrambled eggs, bacon, toast, and fresh fruit. Real food. Not the scraps she'd been allowed at Kane's pack. Eat, Meredith ordered. Sage said you'd need extra calories after the healing. Luna didn't need to be told twice. She dug in, and the first bite of real, well-prepared food nearly made her moan. Everything tasted incredible, rich and flavorful and abundant. So, Finn said, perching on a stool across from her, what's it like being mated to an alpha king? Is he as broody at home as he is in public? Does he do that thing where he stares into the distance and looks tragic? Finn, Thomas warned. I'm just asking. She's going to be our alpha queen. We should get to know her. Alpha queen. The title made Luna's hand freeze halfway to her mouth. I haven't decided. The bond can still be rejected. The kitchen went silent. You're thinking about rejecting him? Meredith's voice was carefully neutral. Luna set down her fork. I'm thinking about everything. I barely know him. He watched me suffer for months because of pack laws. Now I'm marked and bonded and expected to accept it? Fair point, Thomas said gruffly. Law says you've got 28 days to decide. That's your right. But you should know, Finn added, his usual humor gone. Dominic's been half crazy for months, ever since he realized you were his mate. He tried everything: legal challenges, political pressure, coalition building. He was trying to free you the right way. The right way, Luna repeated. While I was beaten, starved, worked until I collapsed. The right way was watching that happen? No. Dominic's voice came from the doorway. Luna's head snapped up to find him leaning against the frame, arms crossed. His expression was unreadable. The right way would have been storming Blackridge's territory the moment I knew you were my mate, slaughtering anyone who stood between us, and taking you. That's what my wolf wanted to do. That's what every instinct I have was screaming for. He pushed off from the doorframe and entered the kitchen, his presence immediately dominating the space. But that would have started a war. Blackridge has alliances with 5 other packs. If I'd attacked without legal justification, we'd have been fighting on multiple fronts. Wildborn is strong, but we're only 300 wolves. Against 6 packs, we'd have been slaughtered. Luna's throat tightened. So I was acceptable collateral damage. No. Dominic's eyes flashed gold. You were the reason I spent 3 months building alliances of my own, calling in every favor I'd earned in 20 years as Alpha King and arranging for the Territorial Council to investigate Blackridge. I was trying to save you without getting you killed in the crossfire of a pack war. He didn't sleep, Meredith said quietly. 3 months, and I don't think he slept more than a few hours a week. He was running himself into the ground trying to find a legal way to get you out. I had pack members stationed around Blackridge territory 24/7, Dominic continued, with orders to intervene if your life was in immediate danger, war or no war. You were never without protection, Luna. Never without someone watching to make sure Blackridge didn't go too far. Except he did go too far, Luna said. He beat me nearly to death. And the moment he dumped you at the border, making you legally unclaimed, I claimed you. Dominic's voice was rough. I know it wasn't fast enough. I know you suffered. I will regret that for the rest of my life. But I was doing the best I could with the options I had. Luna stared at him. at the dark circles under his eyes that she hadn't noticed before, at the tension carved into his shoulders, at the guilt that was practically radiating through the mate bond. "You really thought you could save me legally," she said slowly. "I tried." Dominic's hands curled into fists. "I failed. And you paid the price for my failure." The kitchen was silent except for the ticking of a wall clock. Luna felt the weight of everyone's eyes on her. Meredith's sympathy, Finn's hope, Thomas's assessment, and Dominic's desperate need for her to understand. "Show me," Luna said finally. Dominic's brow furrowed. "Show you what?" "Your territory. Your pack. You want me to decide if I can accept this bond? Then show me what I'd be accepting." Luna stood. "Show me the Wildborn." Something that might have been relief flickered across Dominic's face. "Okay. Yeah, I can do that." "And Dominic?" Luna met his eyes. "No more watching from the shadows. No more protecting me from a distance. If I'm going to be here, I want honesty. Complete honesty. Deal?" "Deal." Dominic extended his hand. Luna hesitated for only a moment before taking it. The moment their skin touched, the mate bond flared to life, warm and electric and undeniable. Dominic's fingers tightened around hers, and Luna saw his eyes flash gold before he controlled himself. "Let's start with the pack center," he said, his voice rough. "You should meet some of the wolves who've been dying to meet you." "Dying to meet the Omega who turned out to be an alpha?" Luna's voice was dry. "Dying to meet the female strong enough to survive Cane Blackridge and still come out fighting." Dominic pulled her gently toward the door. "There's a difference." As they left the kitchen, Luna heard Meredith whisper to Finn and Thomas, 28 days. I give them 28 days before she falls completely in love with him." 28 days? Finn scoffed. "I give her a week." "You're both wrong," Thomas rumbled. "She already loves him. She just doesn't know it yet." Luna pretended not to hear them, but her wolf purred in agreement. "Maybe," Luna thought. "Maybe." Dominic led Luna through the pack territory on foot. The November air was crisp and cold, but Luna found she barely felt it. Her restored alpha blood kept her warm in a way that Omega physiology never had. Wildborn territory spans about 50 square miles. Dominic explained. As they walked down a well-maintained dirt road, "We're one of the larger packs in Montana, but we keep to ourselves mostly. We don't participate much in pack politics." "Why not?" Luna asked. "Because most pack politics are bullshit." Dominic's voice was blunt. "Alpha's posturing, arguing over territory boundaries that shift every few years anyway, forming alliances that dissolve the moment it's convenient. The Territorial Council is supposed to maintain order, but mostly they protect powerful alphas like Blackridge and ignore abuses against lower-ranked wolves." "Like Omegas," Luna said. "Like Omegas." Dominic agreed. "The pack hierarchy system is broken. It's based on an outdated belief that some wolves are inherently worth more than others. I don't subscribe to that philosophy." They crested a hill, and Luna stopped. Below them was a valley dotted with buildings, not the massive, intimidating pack house structure she was used to, but something different. Individual homes, each with their own space and yards. A central building that looked like a community center. What appeared to be a school. Even a small medical clinic. "It looks like a town," Luna said, surprised. "It is a town." Dominic gestured to the valley. "Wildborn doesn't operate like traditional packs. We don't force everyone to live in a single pack house under the Alpha's roof. Wolves have their own homes, their own space. We come together for pack business, for celebrations, for defense, but otherwise people live their lives. That's not how packs usually work." "No," Dominic agreed. "Usually alphas want control, want everyone under one roof where they can monitor and command. I think that's a recipe for resentment and rebellion. Wildborn wolves choose to be here. They stay because they want to, not because they're trapped." Luna studied his profile. "Is that a dig at me? At my situation?" "No." Dominic turned to face her. "It's a promise. You're not trapped here, Luna. You're free to leave whenever you want. The mark on your neck doesn't change that. But the bond means I'll always be able to feel if you're in danger. It means we're connected on a level that goes beyond physical. Dominic's expression was intense. But it doesn't mean I own you. You're not my property. You're my equal, my partner, my mate if you choose to be. Luna's throat tightened. You really mean that? I really mean that. A howl echoed from the valley below, a greeting howl, curious and welcoming. Dominic's head tilted, listening. They know you're here, he said. They want to meet you. Luna's stomach clenched with anxiety. What if they don't like me? What if they think I'm not good enough for their Alpha King? Then they can take it up with me. Dominic's voice held steel. But Luna? They're going to love you. Want to know why? Why? Because you survived. Because you stood up to Blackridge even when it cost you everything. Because you're strong enough to question me, to demand honesty, to refuse to be controlled. Dominic's eyes held hers. The Wildborn don't respect weakness or submission. They respect courage. And you, Luna Stormborn, are the bravest wolf I've ever met. Luna's wolf preened at the praise. And despite everything, despite the fear and uncertainty and confusion, Luna felt a smile tugging at her lips. You're good with words, Alpha King. I'm good at telling the truth. Dominic extended his hand again. Come on. Let's introduce you to your pack. Your pack, he'd said. Not his pack. Not the pack. Your pack. Luna took his hand. And together, they walked down into the valley where 300 wolves were waiting to meet the female who'd captured their Alpha King's heart. Chapter 5, Judged by 300 Wolves. The community center was larger up close than it had appeared from the hilltop. Luna could hear voices inside dozens of them. Maybe more. The sound of pack members gathering, talking, laughing. It should have been comforting. Instead, her anxiety spiked. Dominic must have felt it through the bond, because he squeezed her hand gently. We don't have to do this now. If you're not ready, I'm ready. Luna straightened her shoulders. Let's get this over with. Dominic's lips twitched with what might have been amusement. You make it sound like you're facing an execution, not meeting your pack. Isn't that what this is? 300 wolves judging whether the broken Omega is worthy of their Alpha King? No. Dominic stopped walking and turned to face her fully. This is 300 wolves who've heard the story of a female who stood up to an abusive alpha, survived being left for dead, and came back stronger. They're curious, excited. Some are probably nervous, wondering if you'll be the kind of Luna who actually cares about them, or just another power-hungry alpha female using her position to lord over lower ranks. Luna blinked. I never thought about it like that. Most wolves don't think about what it's like for the pack when a new alpha or Luna arrives. They're too focused on their own anxiety. Dominic's thumb brushed across her knuckles. But you're not most wolves. So let me ask you, what kind of Luna do you want to be? The question caught Luna off guard. In all her years at Kane's pack, she'd never been asked what she wanted, never been given a choice. And now Dominic was asking her to define herself, to choose who she wanted to become. I want to be the kind of Luna who protects wolves who can't protect themselves. Luna said slowly. Who doesn't let rank determine worth? Who fights for the ones everyone else forgets about? Dominic's eyes flashed gold with approval. Then that's exactly who you'll be. He opened the door to the community center, and Luna was immediately hit with a wall of sound and scent. The interior was one massive open space with high ceilings and large windows. Easily 100 wolves filled the room, and every single one of them turned to stare as Dominic and Luna entered. The silence that fell was absolute. Luna resisted the urge to hide behind Dominic. Instead, she lifted her chin and met the stares head-on. These wolves wanted to see if she was strong enough to stand beside their Alpha King. Fine. She'd show them. Wildborn. Dominic's voice carried across the room with supernatural authority. I want you to meet Luna Stormborn, my mate. Your future Luna if she chooses to accept the bond. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Luna caught fragments of conversation. So young. Heard she was an Omega. Kane Blackridge's pack. Restored her rank. An older woman stepped forward from the crowd. She was maybe 70, with white hair braided down her back and sharp brown eyes that assessed Luna with the kind of scrutiny that came from decades of reading people. Her scent marked her as a dominant wolf beta or gamma rank. So you're the one who's had our Alpha in knots for 3 months, the woman said, her voice carrying. I'm Elena Blackwood, Pack Elder. Speak, girl. Why should we accept you as Luna? The challenge was clear. Luna felt every eye in the room watching her response. This was a test not just of her worthiness, but of her character. You shouldn't, Luna said clearly. Not yet. I don't know anything about being a Luna. I spent the last 3 years as an Omega in an abusive pack. I was beaten, starved, and treated like I was disposable. Yesterday, I was left to die in the forest. I'm not qualified to lead anyone. The murmurs grew louder. Dominic tensed beside her, but didn't interrupt. But, Luna continued, raising her voice, I know what it's like to be powerless. I know what it's like to be invisible, to be hurt, to be forgotten. And I swear on the moon goddess herself, if I become your Luna, no wolf in this pack will ever feel that way. I will protect the ones who can't protect themselves. I will fight for the forgotten, and I will die before I let this pack become like the one I escaped from. Elena's expression remained unreadable. Pretty words. But words are easy. Actions are what matter. Then judge me on my actions. Luna's wolf surged forward, lending power to her voice. Give me a chance to prove myself. And if I fail, if I'm not the Luna you deserve, then I'll reject the mate bond myself and leave. You won't be stuck with me. The room erupted into conversation. Some wolves looked impressed, others skeptical. A few were nodding in approval. Elena studied Luna for a long moment, then turned to Dominic. She's got spine. I'll give her that. She's got more than spine, Dominic said. She's got integrity. We'll see. Elena turned back to the crowd. The girl's been through hell. She deserves time to recover, to learn our ways, to decide if this is what she wants. Anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me. The declaration was met with general agreement. Elena was clearly respected when she spoke. The pack listened. A young woman pushed through the crowd, maybe 23 or 24, with dark curly hair and warm brown skin. Her smile was genuine as she approached Luna. I'm Zara, she said, extending her hand. I run the pack school. It's nice to finally meet you. Dominic's been absolutely insufferable for months, pining after his mystery mate. I have not been pining, Dominic said, but his ears reddened slightly. You've been pining, Finn called out from somewhere in the crowd. Brooding. Staring into the distance. Writing terrible poetry. I did not write poetry, Dominic said firmly. You absolutely did. Meredith's voice carried from the back of the room. I found 3 notebooks full of it in your office. Very dramatic. Lots of metaphors about wolves and moons and eternal longing. The room erupted into laughter. Luna felt her own lips twitching despite her anxiety. Dominic looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. We're never speaking of the poetry again, he said with as much dignity as he could muster. That was private. Nothing's private when you leave notebooks lying around, Meredith said cheerfully. More wolves approached to introduce themselves. A massive man named Garrett who ran the pack's security. A tiny woman named Cricket who worked in the medical clinic with Sage. A teenager named Kane, no relation to Alpha Blackridge, he assured her quickly, who was training to be a tracker. Each introduction was genuine, curious, without the underlying hostility Luna had grown accustomed to at Kane's pack. These wolves weren't looking for reasons to hate her, they were giving her a chance. Luna, a quiet voice said. Luna turned to find a young girl. Maybe 10 years old, with blonde pigtails and big blue eyes. Is it true you were an Omega? Haley, an older woman, said sharply, reaching for the girl. That's rude. It's okay. Luna knelt down to the girl's level. Yes, I was an Omega. For 3 years. My mom says Omegas are weak, Haley said with the brutal honesty of children. But you don't seem weak. I'm not weak, Luna said gently. And neither is any other Omega. Being an Omega doesn't mean you're weak, it just means your rank is different. Some of the strongest wolves I've known were Omegas. They survived things that would have broken stronger wolves. Really? Really? Luna smiled. Rank doesn't determine worth, Haley. Heart does. Courage does. How you treat other people does. Haley considered this seriously. I think you're going to be a good Luna. Thank you, Luna said, her throat tight. I'm going to try. The girl skipped away, and Luna stood to find Dominic watching her with an expression that made the mate bond pulse with warmth, pride, affection, hope. You're a natural, he said quietly. I'm faking it, Luna admitted. No, you're not. Dominic's hand found hers again. You're being yourself. That's all anyone can ask. The gathering continued for another hour. Luna met what felt like 100 wolves, learned dozens of names she'd probably forget by tomorrow, and heard story after story of life in the wild-born pack. It was overwhelming and exhausting, and nothing like she'd expected. These wolves weren't perfect. She caught hints of old grudges, personality conflicts, the normal friction that came from any group of people living together. But there was an underlying current of genuine community. These wolves cared about each other, protected each other, chose to be together. As the sun began to set and the gathering finally broke up, Luna found herself sitting on a bench outside the community center with Dominic beside her. Her social battery was completely drained. That was a lot, she said. Too much? No. Luna leaned back, staring up at the darkening sky. It was good. Different. Your pack is. Not what I expected. What did you expect? I don't know. Something more like Cain's pack, I guess. Rigid hierarchy. Everyone afraid of everyone else. Dominance displays and posturing. We have hierarchy, Dominic said. But it's based on respect and ability, not fear. And dominance displays are for insecure alphas who need to constantly prove they're in charge. And you're not insecure? Dominic's laugh was low and genuine. I'm the alpha king of a 300 wolf pack. I've held this territory for 15 years without a single successful challenge. My wolves follow me because they choose to, not because they're afraid of me. I don't need dominance displays. Luna turned to look at him. In the fading light, his profile was striking all sharp angles and hard lines, but there was something almost peaceful about his expression. Why Wildborn? She asked. Why do you call yourselves that? Because we are wild. Born to run free, to hunt, to live by our own rules. Dominic met her eyes. Traditional packs try to tame that wildness, to force wolves into rigid roles and hierarchies. But we believe wolves are strongest when they're allowed to be what they are: wild, free, and fierce. And what am I? Luna asked quietly. Am I wild? Free? Or am I just another broken wolf you had to save? You're the wildest wolf I've ever met, Dominic said with absolute certainty. You survived 3 years of abuse that would have destroyed most wolves. You stood up to an alpha twice your size when you had nothing to gain and everything to lose. You looked death in the face and chose to fight instead of surrender. His hand covered hers. Luna, you're not broken. You're a survivor. There's a difference. Luna felt tears prickling at her eyes. She'd spent 3 years being told she was worthless, weak, pathetic. Hearing Dominic say the opposite and meaning it, she could feel his sincerity through the bond was almost overwhelming. I don't know if I can do this, she whispered. Be your Luna, lead your pack, be worthy of you. You already are worthy. Dominic's voice was fierce. And you don't have to decide anything tonight. You have 28 days, remember? Use them. Get to know the pack. Figure out who you want to be. And at the end, whatever you decide, I'll respect it. Even if I choose to reject you, even then. Dominic's jaw tightened. Though I'll spend every one of those 28 days trying to convince you not to. Despite everything, Luna laughed. That's fair. They sat in comfortable silence as the stars began to appear overhead. For the first time in 3 years, Luna felt something that might have been peace. Not happiness yet, that would take time, but peace, safety. The possibility of a future that didn't involve pain and fear. Her wolf purred contentedly. Home, she said simply. This feels like home. Maybe, Luna thought. Maybe it could be. Come on, Dominic said, standing and offering his hand. Let's get you back to the house. You've had a long day. Luna took his hand and let him pull her to her feet. As they walked back through the darkening valley, surrounded by the sounds and scents of pack, Luna felt the mate bond humming between them, warm and steady and full of potential. 28 days. She had 28 days to decide if she could build a life here. 28 days to figure out if the Alpha King who'd saved her life could also be trusted with her heart. It was terrifying. It was overwhelming. But for the first time in 3 years, Luna was actually looking forward to tomorrow. Chapter 6. The Second Chance. Luna woke on her 3rd day in Wildborn territory to the smell of coffee and the sound of voices downstairs. She stretched, testing her body for any lingering soreness from the beating. Nothing. Just healthy muscle and bone, fully restored. The past 2 days had been a whirlwind of meeting pack members, learning the territory, and trying to wrap her mind around the fact that she was mated to an Alpha King. Dominic had been true to his word, giving her space, answering her questions honestly, never pushing for more than she was ready to give. It should have made things easier. Instead, it made her more confused. Luna dressed quickly in jeans and a burgundy sweater, pulled her hair back into a ponytail, and headed downstairs. The voices grew louder as she approached the kitchen, Dominic's deep rumble, Meredith's warm tones, and a third voice she didn't recognize. Male, smooth, with an accent she couldn't quite place. She pushed open the kitchen door and froze. Dominic sat at the island with coffee in hand, but her attention was immediately drawn to the man standing across from him. He was tall, not quite as tall as Dominic, but close, with silver blonde hair that fell to his shoulders and eyes the color of molten silver. His features were refined, almost aristocratic, and when he smiled at something Meredith said, Luna felt an unexpected jolt. The mate bond flared, but not with Dominic. With this stranger, Luna's wolf surged forward, confused and alert. Mate? But we already have mate. What is this? The silver-haired man's head snapped toward the doorway. His eyes locked onto Luna's, and she watched them widen with recognition. With the same shock she was feeling. Oh, he said softly. Oh no. Dominic was on his feet instantly, moving between Luna and the stranger. Luna, this is Damon Silvercrest, my beta. He just returned from a diplomatic mission to the Northern Territories. Your beta, Luna repeated, unable to tear her eyes away from Damon. Why do I feel the mate pull? Damon's voice was tight. You feel it too. Goddess above, Dominic, I'm so sorry. Dominic's entire body went rigid. What are you talking about? She's my second chance mate. Damon took a step back, hands raised as if to show he wasn't a threat. The moon goddess, she's offering Luna a choice. The kitchen went deathly silent. Meredith's hand flew to her mouth. Dominic looked like he'd been struck. That's impossible, Dominic said, his voice dangerously quiet. Luna is my fated mate. I marked her. We're bonded. And you marked her without her full consent, Damon said gently. She was dying. She had no real choice. The goddess knows this. He looked at Luna with something that might have been sadness. A second chance mate is rare, but it happens when a fated mate fails their destined one in some fundamental way. The goddess grants mercy a second option, a chance to choose freely. Luna felt like the floor was tilting beneath her feet. I don't understand. I already have a mate. You have 2 potential mates, Damon corrected. Dominic is your fated mate, the one the goddess chose for you. I'm your second chance mate, the one the goddess is offering as an alternative. You can accept Dominic's bond and reject me. Or you can reject Dominic's bond and accept mine. But you can't have both. Dominic's hands had curled into fists. Luna could feel his emotions through the bond fury, betrayal, and underneath it all, bone-deep terror that he was about to lose her. This is insane, Luna whispered. This can't be real. It's real. Damon's silver eyes were sympathetic. I know it's overwhelming, but the goddess doesn't grant second chance mates lightly. She only does it when, he hesitated. When what? Dominic's voice was sharp. When the fated mate has failed their destined one so completely that they deserve a second option. Damon met Dominic's eyes. Brother, I love you. You're my alpha, my friend, my family. But you let Luna suffer for 3 months. You followed laws and protocols, while your mate was beaten and broken. The goddess is giving her a choice, the male who failed her, or a male who hasn't. That's not fair, Meredith said sharply. Dominic did everything he could. Did he? Damon's voice was quiet but firm. He could have stormed Blackridge's territory the moment he recognized Luna as his mate. Could have started a war if necessary. He chose law over love. And now the goddess is giving Luna the choice he should have given her from the beginning. Dominic looked like he wanted to rip Damon's throat out. His eyes were full gold, his wolf pressing against his skin. "You're my beta. My second. And you're saying you'd take my mate?" "I'm saying it's not my decision." Damon's gaze returned to Luna. "It's hers. And whatever she chooses, I'll respect it. Even if she chooses you." Luna's head was spinning. Two mates, two bonds, two paths stretching before her. One with the powerful, complex Alpha King who'd saved her life but let her suffer. One with the calm, steady beta who was offering her something Dominic never had. A choice made freely, without death hanging over her head. "I need air," Luna gasped. I can't." She turned and fled from the kitchen, her wolf howling in confusion. Behind her, she heard Dominic start to follow. But Meredith's voice stopped him. "Let her go. She needs space to process this." Luna ran through the house and out the front door, her feet carrying her toward the forest without conscious thought. She needed trees, needed space, needed to breathe and think and figure out what the hell was happening. She was maybe 50 yards into the forest when she heard footsteps behind her. Not Dominic, she would have felt him through the bond. Someone else. Luna spun to find Damon emerging from the trees, hands in his pockets, moving slowly and non-threateningly. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know the last thing you want is another male following you, but I thought you might have questions." "Questions?" Luna's laugh was slightly hysterical. "I have about 1,000 questions. Starting with why the moon goddess would do this to me. I was finally starting to figure things out with Dominic, and now," she broke off. "Now you have an impossible choice." Damon leaned against a tree, maintaining careful distance. "I know. It's cruel, in a way, but the goddess doesn't make mistakes." Luna studied him. He was handsome, maybe more conventionally attractive than Dominic, with his refined features and silver hair. But there was something different about him. Something calmer, more measured. Where Dominic burned with intensity, Damon seemed to flow like water. "Tell me about yourself," Luna said. "If I'm supposed to choose between you and Dominic, I should at least know who you are." Damon's smile was sad. "Fair enough. I'm 32 years old. I've been Dominic's beta for 10 years. Before that, I was a rogue. My birth pack was slaughtered when I was 20, and I spent 2 years wandering before Dominic found me and offered me a place in Wildbourne." "You were a rogue?" Luna said with surprise. "For a while. Long enough to know what it's like to be without pack bonds, to be hungry and desperate and alone." Damon's eyes held old pain. "That's why I understand what you went through. Why I can't judge Dominic too harshly for following protocol. I know the importance of law and order and keeping packs from tearing each other apart. But I also know the cost of putting law before people." Luna wrapped her arms around herself. "Why would the goddess choose you as my second chance mate? What makes you different from Dominic?" "I don't know," Damon admitted. "Maybe because I know what it's like to lose everything. Maybe because I won't hesitate to put you first, even if it means breaking every law in existence. Or maybe," he paused, "maybe because I won't demand anything from you. Dominic is intense, possessive, overwhelming. He loves with everything he has. But that kind of love can be suffocating. I can offer you something different, something gentler." "Gentler," Luna repeated. "Is that what I need?" "I don't know what you need," Damon said honestly. "Only you can answer that. But I can tell you what I'd offer if you chose me. Freedom, space, a mate who will protect you but won't try to control you, who will love you without demanding you love him back." Luna felt tears burning her eyes. "That's not fair. Dominic doesn't demand." "Doesn't he?" Damon's voice was gentle. "Luna, Dominic marked you when you were dying. Yes, you consented. But what choice did you really have? Die or accept his mark? That's not a real choice. And now you're bound to him through a bond that will be agonizing to sever, even though he promised you could reject him. Every day you spend with him, the bond grows stronger. In 28 days, rejecting him will feel like ripping out your own heart. And if I chose you instead, then I would court you properly. No pressure, no bond forced in crisis. I'd give you time to heal, to figure out who you are without the weight of someone else's expectations. Damon's silver eyes were earnest. And if you decided I wasn't right for you either, I'd let you go. No bond to tie you down, no mark to trap you, just a choice, freely made. It sounded perfect. Too perfect. Luna's wolf was torn, whining in confusion between the fierce pull toward Dominic, her fated mate, the male who'd saved her, and the gentler pull toward Damon, who was offering everything Dominic hadn't. I don't know what to do, Luna whispered. You don't have to decide right now. Damon pushed off from the tree. The goddess gave you 28 days to choose between accepting or rejecting Dominic's bond. That same timeline applies to me. Get to know both of us. Figure out which future feels right. And at the end of 28 days, choose the mate who makes you happiest. And if I can't choose? If I reject both of you? Then you'll be mateless. Damon's expression was somber. It's rare but possible. You'd survive, but you'd never have another fated mate. The goddess only grants one fated mate and one second chance. After that, you're on your own. Luna felt the weight of that knowledge settle over her like a cloak. 2 mates. 28 days. One choice that would define the rest of her life. I need to talk to Dominic, she said. Of course. Damon started to turn away, then paused. Luna, for what it's worth, I hope you choose the mate who makes you feel most like yourself. Not the one you think you should choose, or the one who saved your life, or the one who seems safest. The one who makes you feel whole. He disappeared back into the trees, leaving Luna alone with her thoughts and 2 mate bonds pulling her in different directions. When Luna returned to the house an hour later, she found Dominic in his office. He was standing at the window, staring out at the forest, his shoulders rigid with tension. He didn't turn when she entered, but she felt his awareness of her through the bond. I'm not going to fight him for you, Dominic said quietly. I could. I'm stronger, more dominant. I could order him to leave the territory, to never see you again, but that would be exactly what you're afraid of me using my power to control you. Luna closed the door behind her. I'm not afraid of you, Dominic. You should be. He finally turned, and the pain in his eyes made her chest ache. I marked you without giving you a real choice. I bound you to me when you were dying. Damon's right, I failed you. And now the goddess is giving you the option I should have given you from the beginning. Stop, Luna said. Stop punishing yourself. You did what you thought was right, and it wasn't enough. Dominic's hands curled into fists. I spent 3 months building alliances and following protocols while my mate suffered. I could have saved you sooner if I'd been willing to start a war. Instead, I chose peace over you. You chose 300 wolves over 1, Luna corrected. That's what alphas do. They protect their pack. I'm supposed to protect my mate above all else. Dominic's voice was raw. Instead, I let you be beaten and broken because I was too afraid of the consequences of acting. And now he stopped. Now I have a choice, Luna finished. A real choice, without death hanging over my head. Do you want him? Dominic's question was barely above a whisper. Damon, do you want him? Luna's throat tightened. I don't know. I barely know him. But Dominic, I barely know you either. We've been bonded for 3 days. 3 days, and I'm supposed to decide if I want to spend the rest of my life with you. So get to know us both. Dominic's jaw clenched. Spend time with me. Spend time with him. And at the end of 28 days, choose the mate who feels right. And if I choose him? Luna had to ask. If I reject our bond and accept Damon as my mate instead? Dominic closed his eyes, and Luna felt agony ripple through the bond. Then I'll let you go. It will destroy me, but I'll survive. I've survived worse. You haven't survived worse, Luna said softly. Losing your fated mate is the worst thing that can happen to a wolf. Then I'll be the second wolf to experience it, after you. Dominic opened his eyes, and they were blazing gold. Because you lost your fated mate when I failed you. The goddess knows it. Damon knows it. And deep down, I know it too. Luna crossed the room and took Dominic's hand. The mate bond flared at the contact, warm and electric and undeniable. You didn't fail me. You saved my life. I should have saved you sooner. Maybe. Luna squeezed his hand. But you can't change the past. All you can do is show me the future. Both of you. And in 28 days, I'll choose the mate who makes me feel most like myself. Dominic's thumb brushed across her knuckles. And which mate? Is that right now? Luna looked up at him at the pain and hope and desperate love in his eyes. Then she thought of Damon, with his gentle offer of freedom and space. I don't know yet, she admitted. But I promise you this, I'll give both of you a fair chance, and whoever I choose at the end, it will be because I genuinely want them, not because I'm obligated, or grateful, or afraid of being alone. That's all I can ask for. Dominic lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles that sent heat racing through her veins. 28 days, Luna. Let me prove I'm worth choosing. You have 28 days. Luna agreed. What she didn't say was that Damon had the same 28 days. And right now, she had no idea which male would win her heart. The only thing she knew for certain was that in 4 weeks, someone's heart was going to break, and there was nothing any of them could do to stop it. Chapter 7. Torn between two alphas. The next 2 weeks passed in a strange, tension-filled dance between 3 wolves who all wanted different things. Dominic was determined to prove himself worthy. He showed Luna every corner of wild-born territory, introduced her to pack traditions, taught her about the responsibilities of being a Luna. He was patient, attentive, and never pushed for more physical contact than she was comfortable with. But Luna could feel his restraint through the bond, the way his wolf screamed to claim her fully, to mark her so thoroughly that no other male would dare approach. Damon, true to his word, offered something completely different. He took Luna on long walks, where they talked about everything and nothing. He made her laugh with stories from his rogue days. He never touched her without permission, never used his beta authority to influence her, and never once mentioned the mate pull between them. He was giving her space to breathe, to heal, to figure out who she was without the weight of expectations. And Luna? Luna was more confused than ever. On day 15 of her 28-day deadline, Luna sat in the pack library with a book she wasn't reading. Rain pattered against the windows, and a fire crackled in the fireplace. It should have been peaceful. Instead, her mind was churning. You look like you're trying to solve the mysteries of the universe. Zara's voice broke through her thoughts. The school teacher settled into the chair across from Luna with a steaming mug of tea. Want to talk about it? Luna closed the book she'd been pretending to read. Do you think I'm being selfish? Leading both of them on? Are you leading them on? Zara asked. Or are you trying to make the most important decision of your life? Both. Maybe. Luna rubbed her temples. Dominic looks at me like I hung the moon. Every morning I wake up and feel his hope through the bond, this desperate prayer that today will be the day I choose him. And Damon. She paused. Damon is so careful, so gentle. He never asks for anything, never demands, never pushes. But I can see it in his eyes. He wants me too. So you're stuck between the mate who demands everything and the mate who demands nothing, Zara summarized. That's rough. It's impossible. Luna leaned back in her chair. How am I supposed to choose between them? Dominic saved my life. He's powerful, protective. And when he looks at me, I feel like the most important thing in the world. But he also let me suffer for 3 months. And I know he had reasons. Good reasons. But it still hurt. Zara finished gently. And Damon is everything Dominic isn't. Calm where Dominic is intense. Gentle where Dominic is fierce. He offers me freedom instead of possession. But, Luna stopped. But I don't love him. The words came out in a rush. I should, right? He's perfect for me. Patient and kind and willing to let me be myself. But when I'm with him, I feel safe, comfortable, like being wrapped in a warm blanket. Luna met Zara's eyes. When I'm with Dominic, I feel alive. Terrified and exhilarated and so overwhelmed I can barely breathe. It's not comfortable, but it's real. Zara smiled knowingly. Sounds like you've already made your choice. Have I? Luna shook her head. Because if I choose Dominic, I'm choosing the mate who failed me. I'm telling the goddess that I'll accept being second priority to pack politics and laws. Or you're choosing the mate who learned from his mistakes. Zara set down her tea. Luna, Dominic spent 3 months in hell waiting for a legal way to save you. And when that didn't work fast enough, he marked you anyway, risking war, risking his pack's safety, risking everything to keep you alive. That's not a mate who considers you second priority. Then why did he wait so long? Because he's an Alpha King responsible for 300 lives. Zara's voice was patient. If he'd attacked Blackridge's territory the day he recognized you as his mate, we'd have been at war with 6 packs. How many of our wolves would have died? 50? 100? And for what to save one Omega who he wasn't even certain would survive the rescue? Luna flinched at the harsh reality of the words. I'm not saying it was right, Zara continued. I'm saying it was impossible. There was no good choice. Attack and risk hundreds of lives for one wolf. Wait and watch the one wolf suffer. Dominic chose the option that protected the most wolves. That's what alphas do. But the moment you were dumped at the border, making you legally unclaimed, he took you. No hesitation. No waiting for approval. He claimed his mate and dealt with the political consequences later. You think I should choose him? Luna said. I think you should choose whoever makes you happy. Zara stood, picking up her tea. But Luna, Damon is my friend. I care about him. And I can tell you he's not in love with you. Luna's head snapped up. What? He cares about you, respects you, would protect you with his life. But love? Zara shook her head. Damon lost his fated mate when his birth pack was slaughtered. Her name was Celeste. He watched her die. And I don't think he's ever really recovered from that. The goddess offering him a second chance mate with you is mercy, but it's not the same as fated love. Then why would he want to be my mate? Because he's lonely. Because he wants a chance to heal. Because having a mate, any mate, is better than being alone. Zara's expression was sympathetic. But Luna, if you choose Damon, you'll be choosing a mate who sees you as a second chance, not as his first choice. Is that really what you want? Luna didn't have an answer. Zara left her alone with her thoughts and the sound of rain against glass. That evening, Luna found Dominic in the training yard behind the main house. He was in wolf form, sparring with 3 other wolves who were trying and failing to land a hit. His black fur gleamed in the fading light, his movements fluid and deadly. Luna watched from the edge of the yard as Dominic took down all 3 opponents with brutal efficiency. When the last wolf submitted, belly up in the mud, Dominic shifted back to human form. Naked and breathing hard, covered in mud and rain, he looked like some kind of ancient warrior god. Their eyes met across the yard, and Luna felt the mate bond surge with heat. Dominic grabbed a towel, someone tossed him and wrapped it around his waist, then walked toward her. Hey. I didn't know you were watching. I just got here. Luna tried not to stare at his bare chest, at the way muscles moved under bronze skin. You're good. At fighting, I mean. 15 years as Alpha King. Dominic's smile was crooked. If I wasn't good at fighting, someone would have killed me by now. Has anyone tried? Luna found herself asking. 3 times. 2 were proper challenges following pack law. I won both. The 3rd was an assassination attempt by a rival pack. That one got messy. Dominic's expression darkened. I don't like killing, but I'll do it to protect my pack. Would you kill for me? The question came out before Luna could stop it. Dominic's eyes flashed gold. Without hesitation, without regret. Anyone who tries to hurt you will die. That's not a threat, Luna. It's a promise. The intensity in his voice sent shivers down Luna's spine. This was the difference between Dominic and Damon. Dominic's love was fierce, possessive, overwhelming. He didn't offer gentle comfort. He offered absolute protection, complete devotion, and a love so intense it was almost frightening. I talked to Zara today, Luna said. She told me about Damon. About Celeste. Dominic's jaw tightened. What about her? That she was his fated mate. That she died when his pack was slaughtered. Luna moved closer. Why didn't you tell me? Because it's Damon's story to tell, not mine. Dominic ran a hand through his wet hair. But yes, Celeste was his fated mate. And yes, losing her broke something in him. He's been my beta for 10 years. And in all that time, I've never seen him look at another female the way he looked at her. Including me, Luna said quietly. Including you. Dominic's honesty was brutal. Damon cares about you, Luna. He'd be a good mate. Faithful, kind, steady. But he doesn't love you the way I do. He can't. Because part of his heart died with Celeste. And the goddess herself can't bring that back. Luna's throat felt tight. And you? You love me? We've known each other for 2 weeks. I've loved you since the moment I recognized you as my mate 6 months ago. Dominic's voice was raw. I watched you from the shadows and fell in love with your strength, your compassion, the way you helped other Omegas even when you had nothing yourself. I fell in love with the way you sang to yourself when you thought no one was listening, the way you talked to stray animals, the way you never stopped fighting, even when fighting seemed pointless. He took a step closer, and Luna's breath caught. I fell in love with you, Luna Stormborn, and I have spent every day since trying to be worthy of you. Dominic's hand lifted, hesitating inches from her face. Tell me to stop. Tell me you don't feel this too, and I'll walk away. I'll give you to Damon with my blessing. But if there's any chance at all that you could love me back, then fight for us. Choose us. Choose me. Luna's hand covered his, pressing his palm against her cheek. The mate bond exploded with sensation, heat, and electricity, and a connection so deep it felt like their souls were touching. I'm terrified of you, Luna whispered. Of how much you make me feel. Of how completely you could destroy me if I let you in. I know. Dominic's thumb brushed across her cheekbone. And I'm terrified of losing you. Of watching you choose Damon because I don't deserve you. But Luna, I will spend the rest of my life earning your trust. Proving that I won't fail you again. Showing you that my love isn't a cage. It's a choice I make every single day. What if I'm not strong enough for this? Luna's eyes burned with unshed tears. What if I choose you and then break? What if the intensity of your love drowns me? Then I'll pull you back to the surface. Dominic's voice was fierce. Every single time. Because you're not weak, Luna. You're the strongest wolf I've ever known. And together, he paused. Together, we could be unstoppable. Luna stood on her tiptoes and pressed her lips to his. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative. But then Dominic's control shattered. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her against his chest, and the kiss deepened into something desperate and consuming. The mate bond sang between them, golden and bright, and absolutely right. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Dominic rested his forehead against hers. Was that a choice? That was me being terrified and doing it anyway, Luna said. I still have 13 days left. I'm not ready to make a final decision. I can work with that. Dominic's smile was the first genuinely happy expression she'd seen on his face since Damon had appeared. 13 days to convince you that you belong with me. And what if Damon convinces me otherwise? Then he's a better male than I gave him credit for. Dominic's arms tightened around her. But Luna? I'm not giving you up without a fight. Not to him, not to anyone, not even to your own fear. Luna buried her face in Dominic's chest, feeling his heart racing against her cheek. 13 days. She had 13 days to decide between safe comfort and terrifying intensity, between a mate who offered freedom and a mate who offered everything. Her wolf had no doubts. This one, she said simply. This is our mate. This is home. But Luna had learned the hard way that feelings weren't always trustworthy. That sometimes your heart wanted things that would destroy you. She just had to figure out if Dominic Steelheart was her salvation or her destruction. And she had less than 2 weeks to decide. Chapter 8. Fighting for Freedom. Day 23 of Luna's deadline arrived with unexpected chaos. Luna was in the pack library again, trying to focus on a book about pack law that Dominic had recommended, when Garrett burst through the doors. The massive head of security looked grim. Luna, we have a situation. Dominic needs you at the eastern border. Now. Luna was on her feet immediately. What kind of situation? Kane Blackridge. He's requesting a formal parley under the white flag of truce. Garrett's expression was dark. He says he's come to reclaim his pack's property. Ice flooded Luna's veins. He means me. Yeah, he means you. Garrett gestured toward the door. Dominic's already at the border with Damon and 20 warriors. But Luna, you don't have to go. We can handle this without you. No. Luna's wolf surged forward, lending her strength. I'm not hiding. Not anymore. Let's go. They took one of the pack's trucks, Garrett driving at speeds that should have been illegal. Luna's mind raced as they sped through the territory. Kane was here. The alpha who'd beaten her, left her to die, and now had the audacity to come to Wildborn lands demanding her return. Her hands curled into fists. Let him try. 10 minutes later, they pulled up to a clearing near the eastern border. Dominic stood at the center of a loose formation of Wildborn wolves, his posture radiating lethal authority. Damon flanked him on the right, equally tense, and across the invisible line that marked the border stood Kane Blackridge with a dozen wolves at his back. Luna climbed out of the truck, and every eye turned to her. Kane's face twisted with something between rage and triumph. There she is, Kane called out. My pack's Omega. Luna, it's time to come home. I don't have a home in your pack, Luna said, her voice carrying clearly across the clearing. You made that clear when you beat me nearly to death and dumped me in the forest. A disciplinary action that got out of hand. Kane's tone was almost conversational, like he was discussing the weather. You embarrassed me in front of the Territorial Council. I responded harshly. But you're still a member of Blackridge Pack, and Pack law states that only your alpha can release you from your bonds. She's marked by an Alpha King. Dominic's voice was deadly quiet. That supersedes any pack bond she had with you, does it? Kane smiled. Because, according to the very laws you love so much, Steelheart, a wolf can't be claimed by another alpha without permission from their current alpha. And I never gave permission. Luna felt Dominic's fury spike through their bond. Kane was right, technically, legally right. Pack law was clear. You couldn't claim another alpha's pack member without permission. The only exception was if the wolf was unclaimed or officially released. You dumped her at the border, Damon said, his voice cold. That's abandonment. It nullifies any pack bond. I left her on my side of the border. Kane gestured to a marker stone about 30 feet behind where Luna had been found. Technically, she was still on Blackridge territory when Steelheart marked her, which makes his claim illegal. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Luna watched Dominic's face, saw the moment he realized Kane had trapped them in their own laws. So here's how this is going to work, Kane continued, his confidence growing. Luna returns to Blackridge Pack. Steelheart's illegal mark is nullified by the Territorial Council. And in exchange for not pressing charges against Wildborn for territorial violation, I'll consider the matter settled. No. The word came from Luna, sharp and absolute. I'm not going anywhere with you. Kane's smile widened. You don't have a choice, Omega. You're my pack's property until I release you. And I'm not releasing you. Then I challenge you. Luna heard herself say. For my freedom. Single combat, to submission or death. The clearing erupted into shocked murmurs. Kane laughed outright. You? Challenge me? You're an Omega. You have no rank, no power, no power. I'm an Alpha-class wolf, Luna interrupted, letting her power flare outward. The air around her shimmered with golden energy, and several of Kane's wolves took involuntary steps backward. The mate bond restored my true rank. I haven't shifted yet, but I can feel it. I'm strong enough to fight you. Kane's laughter died. He studied Luna with new eyes, seeing the power that now radiated from her. Even if you're Alpha class, you're untrained, you'd lose. Maybe. Luna stepped forward, crossing the invisible borderline. But pack law states that any wolf can challenge their alpha for release from pack bonds. You taught me that yourself. It's how you handle wolves who want to leave. So, I'm invoking that right. Fight me, Kane. Win. And I'll return to your pack without complaint. Lose. And you release me and every other wolf who wants to leave your toxic pack. Dominic grabbed her arm. Luna. No. You can't. Yes, I can. Luna met his eyes. This is my fight, Dominic. You can't save me from this. I have to save myself. She saw the moment Dominic understood. Saw him realize that she needed this, needed to face Cain on her own terms, to prove to herself and everyone watching that she wasn't a victim anymore. At least let me, Dominic started. No, Luna's voice was firm. You stand down. This is between me and Cain. Through their bond. She felt Dominic's anguish. His wolf was howling to interfere, to protect, to kill Cain Blackridge where he stood. But slowly, painfully, Dominic released her arm and stepped back. Damon, Dominic said quietly. If Cain kills her, I want you to stop me from starting a war. Dominic, Damon began. That's an order. Dominic's voice was absolutely empty. Because if she dies, I won't be thinking rationally. I'll want to slaughter every wolf in Blackridge Pack. You'll need to stop me. Damon's expression was grim. Understood. Luna turned back to Cain. Do you accept my challenge? Cain studied her, clearly calculating. He was a dominant alpha, with years of training and combat experience. Luna was a newly restored alpha, who'd never fought anyone in her life. On paper, it should be an easy win. I accept, Cain said. But when I win, you're coming back. And I'm going to make sure you never embarrass me again. When you lose, Luna countered, you're going to release every Omega in your pack who wants to leave, and you're going to submit a formal apology to the Territorial Council for your abuses. Deal. Cain was already stripping off his shirt, preparing to shift. Let's get this over with. Luna closed her eyes and reached for her wolf. For 3 years, her wolf had been weak, submissive, barely present. But now, restored by the mate bond with an alpha king, her wolf was strong and fierce and ready. Ready? Luna asked. Born ready, her wolf growled. Let's show him what happens when you break an alpha. Luna's shift was smooth, almost effortless. Her bones reformed, her muscles restructured, and golden fur erupted across her skin. When the transformation completed, Luna stood on 4 legs for the first time in 3 years. She was magnificent. Not as large as Dominic, no female wolf could match an alpha king's size, but bigger than Cain. Her fur was the color of honey and sunlight. Her eyes glowing bright gold with power. The wolves watching gasped. Holy shit, Finn breathed from somewhere in the crowd. She's gorgeous. Cain shifted too, his brown wolf snarling with dominance. He was experienced, vicious, and had no intention of showing mercy. Good. Luna didn't want mercy. She wanted justice. They circled each other, and Luna's wolf assessed her opponent with predatory focus. Cain was bigger than her, with more muscle mass and a lower center of gravity. He'd rely on brute strength to overpower her. But Luna had spent 3 years learning to survive by being faster, smarter, more desperate than her opponents. Cain lunged first. Luna dodged, her smaller size making her more agile. His jaws snapped closed on empty air, and Luna darted in to rake her claws across his flank. First blood to her, Cain roared and spun, faster than Luna expected. His paw caught her shoulder, sending her tumbling. She rolled and came up snarling, already moving before Cain could follow up. They clashed again, and this time Cain managed to sink his teeth into her hind leg. Pain exploded through Luna's consciousness, but her wolf used it as fuel. She twisted in his grip and bit down on his ear, tearing. Cain released her with a yelp. Blood streamed from his torn ear, and his eyes blazed with rage. You're faster than I expected. Cain's voice came through the pack link all shifters could hear. But speed won't save you. I'm going to break every bone in your body, just like I did before. You're welcome to try, Luna shot back. But this time, I'm not helpless. This time, I fight back. They crashed together again, a blur of fur and fangs and fury. Luna felt ribs crack hers or his. She couldn't tell. Tasted blood definitely hers. But she didn't stop, didn't slow. Every blow Cain landed, she returned with interest. The wolves watching were silent, transfixed by the brutal fight playing out before them. She's going to lose, Garrett muttered. She's strong, but Cain has too much experience. Don't count her out yet, Thomas replied. Look at her eyes. That's not a wolf fighting to survive. That's a wolf fighting to win. Cain managed to pin Luna, his superior weight holding her down. His jaws closed around her throat, not hard enough to kill, but enough to force submission. Yield, he growled. Yield, and this ends. Luna's vision was darkening. She could feel consciousness slipping away. In a few more seconds, she'd pass out, and Cain would win by default. Through the haze, she heard Dominic's voice, broken and desperate. Please, Luna. Please yield. I can't watch you die. Something in his voice snapped Luna's wolf into sharp focus. Our mate needs us. Our pack needs us. We don't get to quit. With the last of her strength, Luna activated a technique Dominic had shown her during training, something he'd called the Omega's Last Resort. She went completely limp, making Cain think she was submitting. His grip on her throat loosened just slightly. That was all Luna needed. She exploded upward, her hind legs catching Cain in the soft belly and launching him over her head. He crashed to the ground hard, and Luna was on him before he could recover. Her jaws clamped around his throat, the killing position. The clearing went deathly silent. Luna held Cain down, her teeth pressing just hard enough to break skin. She could kill him. One bite, one shake of her head, and Cain Blackridge would be dead. Do it, her wolf urged. He deserves death. He beat us. He left us to die. He's hurt countless others. End him. But Luna thought about all the wolves in Cain's pack. Thought about the Omegas who'd whispered words of comfort when no one else would. Thought about the younger wolves who were just following their alpha's lead, not knowing any better. If she killed Cain, who would lead them? What would happen to Blackridge pack? Slowly, deliberately, Luna released her grip on Cain's throat. She stepped back, shifted to human form, and stood naked and bleeding in the center of the clearing. I win, she said, her voice carrying to every wolf present. By rights, I could kill you. But I'm not you, Cain. I don't murder wolves just because I can. She looked directly into his eyes. You will release me from Blackridge pack bonds. You will release any other wolf who requests release. And you will reform your pack's treatment of Omegas. Or I swear on the Moon Goddess, I will bring formal charges to the Territorial Council that even your political allies can't ignore. Cain, still in wolf form, stared up at her with hatred and humiliation burning in his eyes, but he nodded once submission acknowledged. Luna turned to find Dominic standing at the edge of the clearing, his expression stunned. She walked toward him, aware of every eye watching her, and stopped directly in front of him. I chose myself, she said quietly. I had to prove I could save myself before I could choose you. Dominic's hands came up to frame her face, heedless of the blood and dirt covering her. You were incredible. I was terrified, Luna admitted. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite fear. Dominic pulled her into his arms, and Luna felt the mate bond pulse with his relief, his pride, his overwhelming love. You're the strongest wolf I've ever known. Around them, wild-born wolves erupted into howls of approval and celebration. Even some of Cain's wolves, those who'd been watching their alpha's abuses for years, looked relieved. Luna had won her freedom. Not through a mate's protection, but through her own strength and courage. And in doing so, she'd finally answered the question that had been haunting her for 23 days. She looked up at Dominic, then over at Damon, who stood at the edge of the crowd with a small, knowing smile. I've made my choice, Luna said. Chapter 9. The Final Decision. Luna stood in the clearing, naked and bleeding, surrounded by wolves from two packs who were all waiting to hear her decision. But first, she needed medical attention. Sage appeared at her elbow with a blanket and a medical kit. You're bleeding from at least 6 different places. Let's get you patched up before you make any life-altering declarations. Luna allowed herself to be wrapped in the blanket and led to one of the trucks. Sage worked efficiently, cleaning wounds and applying bandages while Dominic paced nearby like a caged animal. Damon stood further back, his silver eyes unreadable. You were insane, Sage muttered as she wrapped Luna's ribs. Taking on Cain Blackridge with no training, no experience. You could have died, but I didn't. Luna winced as Sage pulled the bandage tight. I won. You got lucky. But Sage's voice held grudging respect. That move at the end, the false submission, that was smart. Where'd you learn it? Dominic showed me during training. He called it the Omega's last resort. Sage's eyes flicked to Dominic, who'd stopped pacing to listen. You taught her that? I taught her every dirty trick I know, Dominic said. Just in case. In case of what? You didn't know she'd challenge Kane. No. Dominic's expression was intense. But I knew she'd eventually need to defend herself. I wasn't going to let her be helpless ever again. Sage finished bandaging Luna and stepped back. You're going to be sore for days, but everything will heal. Try not to pick any more fights with dominant alphas for at least a week. I'll do my best. Luna stood slowly, testing her injuries. Everything hurt, but nothing was critical. She turned to face the assembled wolves. Kane had shifted back to human form and was pulling on his clothes, his expression murderous but defeated. His wolves watched Luna with a mix of respect and wariness. Kane Blackridge, Luna's voice carried across the clearing. Do you acknowledge my victory? Kane's jaw clenched so hard Luna could hear his teeth grinding. But finally, he bit out, I acknowledge it. Then by pack law you release me from all Blackridge pack bonds. You're released. The words sounded like they were being torn from his throat. You're no longer bound to Blackridge pack. Luna felt something shift inside her, a sensation like chains falling away. The pack bond she'd carried for 3 years, weak and strained as it had been, severed completely. For a moment she felt adrift, untethered, and her wolf whimpered at the loss. Then Dominic's hand found hers, and the mate bond flared to life. Warm and strong and anchoring. Not a chain. A choice. You will also release any other wolf who requests release from your pack. Luna continued. And you will submit a formal statement to the Territorial Council acknowledging your abuses and outlining reforms to protect lower-ranked wolves. That's not what we agreed, Kane started. That's exactly what we agreed to, Luna cut him off. I said if I won, you'd release me and any wolf who wants to leave. And you'd reform treatment of Omegas. The council statement ensures you actually follow through instead of returning to business as usual the moment I'm gone. Kane looked like he wanted to argue, but Garrett stepped forward with his phone out. I recorded the entire challenge, including the terms. It's all on video. As did I, Thomas added, holding up his own phone. And me, Finn called from the crowd. Kane realized he was trapped. Every word, every term, every agreement had been recorded. If he tried to back out now, Luna could take the evidence to the council and destroy him. Fine, he spat. I'll submit the statement. Good. Luna turned to Kane's wolves. Anyone who wants to leave Blackridge Pack is welcome to request sanctuary in Wildborn. We'll accept you without question. Several of Kane's wolves exchanged glances. One young woman, an Omega. Luna recognized her from the kitchens, stepped forward hesitantly. I want to leave, she said quietly. I request sanctuary. Granted, Dominic said immediately. Welcome to Wildborn. 2 more wolves stepped forward. Then 5. Then 10. By the time the exodus ended, Kane had lost nearly a third of his pack, mostly Omegas and lower-ranked wolves who'd been suffering under his leadership. Kane's face was purple with rage, but he couldn't do anything. Pack law was clear. Wolves could request release, and alphas couldn't deny them without cause. And publicly, in front of witnesses, with multiple recordings, Kane had agreed to these terms. We're done here, Kane said coldly. He gathered his remaining wolves and turned to leave, but paused to look back at Luna one last time. You humiliated me twice now, Omega. That's not something I'll forget. I'm not an Omega anymore, Luna said calmly. And if you come after me or anyone under Wildborn protection, you won't just be dealing with me. You'll be dealing with an Alpha King and 300 wolves who will destroy you. Kane's lip curled, but he said nothing else. He shifted to wolf form and ran back toward his territory, his diminished pack following. When they were gone, the Wildborn wolves erupted into celebration. Finn was practically bouncing with excitement. Garrett clapped Luna on the shoulder hard enough to make her wince. Even Elena, the stern elder, was smiling. But Luna's attention was split between 2 males, Dominic, who was watching her with desperate hope, and Damon, who stood apart from the celebration with that same knowing expression. Can everyone give us some space? Luna called out. I need to talk to Dominic and Damon, privately. The celebration died down. Wolves exchanged glances but began dispersing, herding the new refugees toward the pack center to get them settled. Within minutes, only Luna, Dominic, and Damon remained in the clearing. Luna walked to the center, equidistant from both males, and took a deep breath. I said I'd made my choice, she began. And I have. But first, I need to say something to both of you. She turned to Damon. You offered me something I desperately needed. Space, freedom, the chance to heal without pressure. You were kind when I needed kindness, patient when I needed patience. You made me feel safe. She paused. But Zara told me about Celeste. About your fated mate. Damon's expression flickered. Luna, I'm not angry that you didn't tell me. Luna continued gently. I understand why you didn't. But Damon, I can't be someone's second choice. I can't be the mate you settle for because your first mate died. That's not fair to either of us. Damon closed his eyes. You're right. Goddess, you're absolutely right. I thought. He opened his eyes again. I thought maybe I could love again. That the moon goddess giving me a second chance mate meant I was ready. But you deserve someone who loves you first, not someone still grieving their fated mate. You deserve to finish grieving, Luna said softly. To heal properly instead of trying to fill the void, Celeste left. And when you're ready, truly ready, the goddess will guide you to the mate you're meant to have. You're too wise for someone so young, Damon said with a sad smile. He walked forward and took Luna's hand, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. Thank you. For being honest, for being kind, and for having the courage to choose what's right instead of what's easy. He released her hand and stepped back. I'll give you privacy. Damon, Luna called as he turned to leave. You're still my friend. That doesn't change. Friends, Damon agreed. Always. He shifted to wolf form and loped away, leaving Luna alone with Dominic. The Alpha King stood frozen, his expression caught between hope and terror. Through the mate bond, Luna could feel his emotions, the desperate love, the fear of rejection, the fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, she was about to choose him. Luna walked toward him slowly, aware that every step was a choice, a commitment. I'm terrified of you, she said when she was close enough to touch him. Terrified of how much power you have over me. Terrified of how completely I could lose myself in loving you. Dominic's face fell. Luna. I'm not finished. Luna reached up to cup his face. I'm terrified. But I'm also done being afraid. Done letting fear control my choices. Done surviving instead of living. She stretched up on her toes, and Dominic automatically bent down to meet her. I choose you, Dominic Steelheart, Luna whispered against his lips. Not because you saved my life. Not because of the mate bond. Not because I'm grateful or obligated or afraid of being alone. I choose you because when I'm with you, I feel alive. Because your love is fierce and overwhelming and terrifying, but it's also real. Because you see me, not the Omega I was, not the Alpha I might become, but me, Luna, just me. Dominic's hands came up to frame her face, his eyes blazing gold. Say it again. I choose you. Again. I choose you, Dominic. I accept the mate bond. I want to be your Luna, your partner, your equal. Luna smiled. I want to spend the rest of my life being terrified of how much I love you. Dominic's kiss was consuming, desperate, full of 3 months of waiting and 23 days of fear that he'd lose her. Luna kissed him back with everything she had, pouring all her choice, all her commitment, all her love into that single moment. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Dominic rested his forehead against hers. The full moon is in 5 days, he said quietly. After that, the bond becomes permanent. Are you sure? I'm sure. Luna's hands tangled in his hair. I don't need 5 more days to know what I want. I want you. I want this. I want us. Then let's make it official. Dominic pulled back slightly. Right here, right now, in front of the goddess, and any wolves who care to witness, I claim you, Luna Stormborn, as my mate, my Luna, my everything. His eyes flashed gold. and he leaned down to the mating mark on her neck, the one he'd placed 23 days ago when she was dying. His canines elongated, and he bit down in the exact same spot, reinforcing the mark. Power flooded through the bond, stronger than before, permanent and unbreakable. Luna gasped as the sensation overwhelmed her, but this time there was no pain. Only pleasure, only rightness, only the absolute certainty that this was where she belonged. When Dominic released the bite, the mark blazed with golden light before settling into the skin. Luna touched it, felt the warmth pulsing beneath her fingers. "It's permanent now," Dominic said. "Even before the full moon. You're mine, and I'm yours, and nothing can break what we have." "Good," Luna said fiercely, "because I'm not letting you go. Not ever." Dominic lifted her into his arms, and Luna wrapped her legs around his waist, laughing as he spun her around. "My Luna," he said, wonder in his voice. "My mate. Mine. Yours," Luna agreed. "And you're mine. Always." From the tree line, wolves began to emerge, pack members who'd been giving them privacy but couldn't resist witnessing the final claiming. Meredith was crying happy tears. Finn was grinning like an idiot. Even Thomas looked pleased. Elena stepped forward, her voice carrying with formal authority. "By the power vested in me as elder of Wildborn Pack, I recognize the mating of Alpha King Dominic Steelheart and Luna Stormborn. May the moon goddess bless their union with strength, wisdom, and many pups to carry on their legacy." The pack erupted into howls of celebration and approval. Luna buried her face in Dominic's neck, overwhelmed by the acceptance, the love, the sense of finally belonging somewhere. "Welcome home, Luna," Dominic whispered in her ear. "Welcome home." And for the first time in 3 years, Luna felt like she actually was home. Chapter 10. Rise of the Luna Queen. 6 months later, Luna stood at the entrance of the newly constructed Omega Sanctuary, watching as the final touches were being put on the building. The structure was beautiful, 3 stories of warm wood and large windows, designed to feel welcoming rather than institutional. A place where Omegas from abusive packs could find refuge, training, and a chance to discover their true strength. "It's perfect," Zara said, coming to stand beside her. "You should be proud." "We should be proud," Luna corrected. "This wasn't just my vision. Everyone contributed." It was true. The Omega Sanctuary had been a pack-wide effort. Dominic had donated the land and funded the construction. Meredith had designed the interior to be both comfortable and functional. Garrett had installed state-of-the-art security. Sage had set up a medical wing specifically for treating trauma survivors. And Zara had developed a curriculum to help Omegas discover and strengthen their abilities. The sanctuary had been Luna's first major initiative as Luna of Wildborn Pack, and she'd poured her heart into it. Because she remembered what it felt like to be powerless, forgotten, treated as disposable, and she'd sworn that no wolf under her protection would ever feel that way again. "How many residents do we have now?" Luna asked. 43, Zara replied. "Mostly from Blackridge Pack after Kane's required reforms turned out to be superficial at best. But we've also taken in Omegas from 3 other packs who heard about the sanctuary and requested transfers." Luna smiled. 43 wolves who now had a chance at a better life. It wasn't enough, there were still hundreds of Omegas suffering in packs across the territories, but it was a start. "Luna!" a young voice called out. Haley, the 10-year-old who'd asked Luna about being an Omega 6 months ago, came running up. "Guess what? I got accepted into the tracker training program. That's wonderful." Luna knelt down to the girl's level. "I knew you could do it. My mom said Omegas can't be trackers, but you said rank doesn't determine worth. So I applied anyway, and Thomas said I have natural talent." Haley was practically bouncing with excitement. "I'm going to be the best tracker Wildborn's ever seen." "I believe you," Luna said warmly. "And Haley, your mom was wrong. Omegas can be anything they want to be. Tracker, warrior, healer, even alpha. The only limits are the ones we accept." Haley hugged Luna impulsively, then ran off to tell her friends the good news. Luna stood, feeling Dominic's presence behind her before he even spoke. "You're good with the pups," he said, wrapping his arms around her waist and pulling her back against his chest. "They adore you." They adore anyone who treats them with respect. Luna replied, leaning into his warmth. It's not that complicated. It is to most alphas. Dominic pressed a kiss to her mating mark, making her shiver. Most leaders rule through fear and dominance. You rule through compassion and strength. It's revolutionary. It's common sense. Same thing. Dominic's hands splayed across her stomach. How are you feeling? Any morning sickness today? Luna's hand covered his. 6 weeks ago, Sage had confirmed what Luna's wolf had already known: she was pregnant. The news had sent Dominic into a spiral of protective overreaction that would have been annoying if it wasn't so endearing. I'm fine, Luna assured him. The nausea only hits in the actual morning. By noon, I'm perfectly functional. You should still be resting. I'm pregnant, not dying. Luna turned in his arms. Dominic. We talked about this. You can't wrap me in bubble wrap for 9 months. I can try, he muttered, but his smile was soft. We're having a pup. An actual pup. I'm terrified I'm going to mess this up. You won't. Luna cupped his face. You're going to be an amazing father. Overprotective and slightly neurotic, but amazing. Slightly neurotic? Dominic raised an eyebrow. Finn said I've gone full-on paranoid. Finn says a lot of things. Luna stretched up to kiss him. Most of them are accurate. Their kiss was interrupted by Garrett clearing his throat loudly. Sorry to interrupt the mated bliss, but Alpha, we have visitors. The Territorial Council is here. Luna and Dominic exchanged glances. The Territorial Council didn't make social calls. All of them? Dominic asked. All 5 alphas, plus their betas. Garrett's expression was grim. They're waiting in the Great Hall. They said it's urgent. Luna felt Dominic tense. The Territorial Council had been investigating Kane Blackridge for 6 months, ever since Luna had submitted her formal complaint backed by testimony from 43 witnesses. But investigations moved slowly, and Luna had started to wonder if anything would actually come of it. Let's go, Dominic said, taking Luna's hand. Whatever this is, we face it together. They walked to the Great Hall, and Luna felt the weight of the moment. The Territorial Council had never visited Wildborn before their presence meant something significant was happening. The 5 alphas stood as Luna and Dominic entered. Luna recognized most of them from her disastrous appearance at the council meeting 6 months ago, the one that had led to Kane beating her. Alpha Devon Blackstone of the Northern Territory stepped forward. He was older, maybe 60, with gray hair and sharp blue eyes. Alpha Dominic. Luna. Thank you for receiving us on short notice. What's this about? Dominic asked, his voice carefully neutral. Kane Blackridge. Blackstone's expression was grim. The council has completed its investigation into the allegations of systematic abuse within Blackridge Pack. The evidence is damning. He gestured, and one of the betas laid out a thick folder on the table. 43 witness testimonies, medical records documenting injuries, financial records showing Blackridge was embezzling pack funds, and most damningly, security footage from Blackridge Pack House showing multiple incidents of abuse against lower-ranked wolves. Luna's breath caught. Security footage? Provided by Blackridge's head of security, who finally grew a conscience. Blackstone's voice was hard. Kane Blackridge has been stripped of his alpha title. Blackridge Pack is being dissolved and absorbed into neighboring territories. And Kane himself has been exiled, declared rogue, and banned from all packlands in Montana. The declaration hung in the air like thunder. Kane Blackridge, the alpha who'd seemed untouchable, had been destroyed. There's more, Blackstone continued. The council has been reviewing pack laws regarding treatment of omegas. Your sanctuary, Luna, and your advocacy have forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about how our laws enable abuse. He paused. We're implementing reforms. Pack-wide protections for omegas, mandatory oversight of alpha conduct, and harsher penalties for abuse. It's not perfect, but it's a start. Luna felt tears burning her eyes. Why? Why now? After years of ignoring this? Because you made it impossible to ignore, Blackstone said simply. You survived abuse, fought your way free, and built something better. You proved that the system was broken and showed us a path to fix it. The Council owes you a debt. Luna Stormborn Steelheart. Luna Steelheart. Luna corrected softly. I took Dominic's name. Blackstone smiled. Luna Steelheart then. The Council would like to offer you a position, a formal seat as Omega Advocate. You'd have a voice in pack law, the authority to investigate abuse claims, and the power to enforce protections. You'd be the first Omega to sit on the Territorial Council in its 200-year history. Luna's mind reeled. A seat on the Council. Real power to change things. The ability to protect wolves like her across the entire territory. She looked at Dominic, who was smiling with fierce pride. It's your choice, he said. Whatever you decide, I support you. Luna turned back to Blackstone. I accept. On one condition, name it. The reforms you're implementing, I want them expanded to all packs in Montana, not just this territory. And I want oversight authority that extends beyond just Omegas. All vulnerable wolves. Omegas. Orphans. The elderly. The disabled. Everyone who can't protect themselves deserves protection. Blackstone exchanged glances with the other alphas. They conferred quietly for a moment, then Blackstone nodded. Done. The Council will draft the expanded reforms for ratification. You'll have full authority as advocate for all vulnerable pack members. Then I accept. Luna's voice was steady, strong. And I promise you I will use this power to make sure no wolf ever suffers the way I did. The alphas left an hour later, having formalized Luna's appointment and discussed the logistics of the new reforms. When they were gone, Luna sank into a chair, overwhelmed. You just became one of the most powerful wolves in Montana, Dominic said, sitting beside her. How does it feel? Terrifying, Luna admitted. I'm 22 years old. 6 months ago I was an Omega in an abusive pack. Now I'm Luna of Wildborn, pregnant with an Alpha King's pup, and sitting on the Territorial Council. It's insane. It's justice. Dominic corrected. You earned every bit of power you have. You survived, you fought, you built something better. That's not insane, that's extraordinary. Luna leaned her head on his shoulder. What if I mess up? What if I make things worse? Then you'll learn and try again. Dominic's arm wrapped around her. Luna, you're not going to be perfect. No one is. But you're going to fight for wolves who can't fight for themselves. And that alone makes you better than most alphas who've ever held power. I'm going to need help, Luna said. I can't do this alone. You won't be alone. Dominic pressed a kiss to her temple. You've got me, the pack, and every wolf you've helped who will gladly return the favor. You've built a community, Luna. Now let them support you. 3 months later, Luna stood on the hilltop overlooking Wildborn territory, her hand resting on her now prominent baby bump. Below, the valley was alive with activity, wolves training, pups playing, life thriving. In the 9 months since she'd arrived dying on Wildborn lands, everything had changed. Cain Blackridge was exiled, his former pack dissolved. 43 Omegas had found sanctuary and freedom. Pack laws were being reformed across Montana, and Luna had gone from powerless victim to one of the most influential wolves in the territory. But the biggest change was internal. Luna no longer saw herself as broken or worthless. She'd reclaimed her power, chosen her mate, and built a legacy that would protect vulnerable wolves for generations. Luna. Finn came jogging up the hill. Council meeting in an hour. They're voting on the expanded Omega protections today. I'll be there. Luna smiled. Thanks, Finn. As Finn headed back down, Damon appeared from the other direction. The silver-haired beta had kept his distance since Luna's choice, but they'd slowly rebuilt their friendship. How are you feeling? He asked, nodding to her stomach. Like I'm carrying a wolf pup who's already training to be an alpha. Luna laughed. This baby kicks constantly. Dominic's convinced we're having twins. Goddess help us all if that's true. Damon's smile was genuine. You'll be a good mother, Luna. The pup's lucky to have you. Thank you. Luna paused. How are you, really? Better. Damon looked out over the valley. I'm seeing a therapist working through my grief over Celeste. You were right. I wasn't ready for another mate. I was just trying to fill the void. And now? Now I'm learning to be whole on my own. Damon met her eyes. Thank you. For being honest with me. For choosing what was right instead of what was easy. You saved me from making a mistake that would have hurt us both. That's what friends do, Luna said warmly. Damon nodded and headed back down the hill, leaving Luna alone with her thoughts. Dominic appeared behind her, wrapping his arms around her from behind, his hands resting on her stomach. Our pup is restless today. Your pup is restless every day. Luna leaned back against him. What are we going to do with a baby that inherits your energy and my stubbornness? Love them unconditionally and pray for patience. Dominic's laugh rumbled through his chest. Luna, do you ever regret choosing this life? Choosing me? Never, Luna said without hesitation. Yes, it's overwhelming. Yes, I'm terrified half the time. Yes, I still have nightmares about Cain, and wonder if I'm strong enough for all of this. But Dominic, I've never been happier. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Good, Dominic murmured against her ear. Because I love you. More than I thought possible. More than life itself. I love you too. Luna turned in his arms. Thank you for saving me. You saved yourself. Dominic corrected. I just gave you a reason to fight. Then, thank you for being my reason. They stood on the hilltop as the sun set over wild-born territory, two wolves who'd found each other against impossible odds. Below them, their pack thrived, a community built on strength, compassion, and the revolutionary idea that all wolves deserve dignity and protection. Luna's journey from broken Omega to powerful Luna was complete, but her work was just beginning. There were still wolves suffering in abusive packs, still systems that needed changing, still battles to fight. But for now, in this moment, Luna allowed herself to simply be happy, to feel the life growing inside her, to be held by the mate she'd chosen, to look out over the territory she now protected and know that she'd made a difference. The Omega who'd been left to die had become the Luna who saved hundreds. The powerless victim had become a voice for the voiceless, and the broken wolf had healed into something stronger than she'd ever imagined possible. Luna's Steelheart touched the mating mark on her neck, the symbol of choice, of love, of a bond forged through fire and blood and unwavering commitment. She'd been beaten, left for death, offered a choice between two mates and a future she couldn't predict. And she'd chosen strength, chosen love, chosen herself. That choice had changed everything. Epilogue, 2 years later. Luna watched from the sanctuary steps as her daughter, Arya, 18 months old with her father's black hair and her mother's gray eyes, toddled toward a group of Omega pups. The little girl had inherited Dominic's alpha power and Luna's compassionate heart, a combination that would make her formidable one day. She's going to be a handful, Meredith said, settling beside Luna with tea. She already is, Luna laughed. Last week she tried to alpha command Dominic to give her cookies before dinner. It almost worked. The sanctuary behind them now housed 73 residents and had inspired 5 similar facilities across Montana. Cain Blackridge had never been seen again. Rumor said he'd gone feral in the wilderness, unable to cope with losing his power. Luna didn't waste energy thinking about him. She was too busy building the future. Council meeting tomorrow? Meredith asked. Always. Luna smiled. We're voting on expanding protections to neighboring territories. If it passes, everything we've built here will become the new standard for packs across 3 states. Look at you, changing the world. One law at a time. Luna stood, scooping up Arya as the toddler ran back to her. Ready to go home, little wolf? Arya giggled and buried her face in Luna's neck. Dominic appeared from the sanctuary, having just finished a security meeting, and the sight of him still made Luna's heart skip. My girls, he said, gathering them both in his arms. Ready? Ready, Luna confirmed. As they walked home through wild-born territory, surrounded by pack and family and a future bright with possibility, Luna thought about the girl she'd been 2 years ago, beaten, broken, left to die in the frozen forest. That girl had survived, had fought, had chosen to live instead of giving up, and that choice had led to this, a mate who loved her fiercely, a daughter who would grow up knowing her worth, and a legacy of protection that would outlive them all. They'd beaten her, left her for dead, But they hadn't known 50 wolves were watching. They hadn't known she'd survive. And they definitely hadn't known she'd come back stronger, build something better, and change the world. Luna smiled, kissed her daughter's head, and walked home with her family. Some stories ended in tragedy. Hers had ended in triumph. And that made all the difference. And that's Luna's journey from Left for Dead to the Luna who saved hundreds. She chose to build a legacy from her pain, proving that our scars don't define us, what we do with them does. So here's what I want to know. If you were given Luna's second chance at life, what's one thing you'd do differently? If this story touched you, show some love with a like. And let's talk in the comments. Your story matters too.